the bit rate. Maybe. Works of technology. Ah, there it goes. Well, that's because I set the YouTube timer for 3:30. Because I wasn't, like, I knew I wanted to start early, but I wasn't sure like how early I wanted to start. So, but at least I know it actually thing connected though. So we got that going. We got that working now. So. Yeah, YouTube did the thing where I have to manually click the go live button. Even though it was already broadcasting and connected to it proper. But it should be live now? I had one of those last month. Oh, poor puppy. The ear infections are fucking rough. It's fine. It's working. It's working now. It's fine. Let's go. Hell yeah. Caster Labs is connecting it. It's showing it's connected to it, so I can at least close this part out. I was just manually end the stream later. So my weekend's been pretty uneventful so far. Mine is apparently breaking YouTube apparently. Again. But today we got a bunch of reacts for today. As we are celebrating our 3K celebration for YouTube today. We got a lot of reacts and stuff loaded. Some fat electrician, some animation. We got a little bit of everything right now. Loaded up. 3K squad! Just like, don't worry, when we hit 700 here, we're gonna have our own little celebration here too, so don't worry. We all get celebrations. You get celebration, they get celebration. This platform I'm not even streaming on right now will get a celebration. We party for everything here. Life's too short to be miserable. Holy shit, when it took a while to finish that scan. But yeah, 3K squad on YouTube. It is question mark. What do you mean it is question mark? What do you mean? I know I'm early. I know I am. So bleep. Life is too short to suffer. It is. Life's too short to be miserable.
Bananas are berries.
Bananas are berries. Strawberries are not.
Life is a lie.
Did that not go off? I did not hear you. I did not hear the TTS either. TTS is on the scene, so why are you being dumb? I'm gonna have to refund those. I got you. I got you. I know you detected it, so I'd like to know why you didn't play. $7,000 my ass. I can see it's only 700. Let's see. Library. Alerts. ATS. Why are you like this? Going to break something. Maybe my fingers. I literally earlier today I went through all the sound alerts and the source was working, so this just made me angry. Let me just destroy my own channel points here. Let's see. TTS. Work, you piece of shit.
Bananas are berries. Strawberries are not. Life is a lie.
Why you picky? Why you picky? I am breaking something. Okay, the mystery TTS is not solved, but it's working now. So I don't have an expression on my face that can convey my feelings on this. Just what the fuck, man? God, I hate sound alerts sometimes. Why is it like this? I know sound alerts. I know I just did text to speech. I know I did. Shocking concept. Okay. Alright. Okay, let's hopefully nothing else breaks when I do this, because I swear to I'm going to be just so mad if everything else just breaks. Not like that. Just wrong keybind. Okay, so for the reacts today, we have a very, very large variety of stuff here. We have some Storm stuff, some Fat Electrician, some shorts, yes, some Tasting History, some Blue Jay, some animation stuff. We got a whole lot.
Scientists have discovered the ultimate source of unlimited energy, a cat strapped to a piece of jam toast, jam side up. When dropped, the cat tries to land on its feet, but the toast wants to land jam side down. They spin, forever, hovering, defying gravity, creating a vortex of pure chaos. We call it the Meowtronic Jam Drive. Coming soon to a shady science lab near you. Vadal filtered, Vadal filtered, Vadal filtered, Vadal filtered.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Cat strapped to a piece of jam toast. Thank you so much for that follow, Arbor. Hope you're doing well today. Crab Reeve. Alright. Alright, we seem to be still holding stable. Let's go. I think we're actually gonna be good to go today for YouTube and Twitch. Hell yeah! And broke again with channel points. It's okay. It's okay. If it only cost 1 point, I don't trust y'all to make it that cheap. The last thing I need is someone using TTS and then spamming it with some where do we put it?
We demand more points. Time for a raid.
No! This is not a democracy! Okay, you know what? You know what? Tell you what. I offer to cut it down to... Time to raid for 250 points. Oh my god, why are y'all like this? Alright, alright. Alright. I offer, instead of making the TTS 700, how about I negotiate to 500? We can haggle. We can barter. We can bargain. 600. Hey, welcome in, Gerald. Hope you're doing well today. We're doing good. We're doing good. We're trying some 500. I want my 700 points back. Refund you 200. I don't think I could refund the specific amounts. To be entirely honest. Get 2,000 points out of me.
I got the power, in the form 0 F45k points.
Oh my god, why are y'all like this? Minnow is a terrifying force. That's still a lot of redeems. I can't lose points. Alright, alright. Spending too much. Y'all need to chill. It's like y'all just found the TTS button. Alright. What do we want to kick off today with? I can't do a jam cap, but what is it? Is it... No, I did not. It's the same one. It's just some new software for streaming that has some other like features in it and stuff. I don't have jam, but The best I can do is, I can turn myself purple. Only 700 for TTS? Yeah, only 700. Which admittedly, 700 is a lot for someone who just came in. And that's when I don't trust. If I was that trusting, it'd only be like 200. Oh, you like purple on me? Okay, we can do purple. I can be purple for today. We can do that. We can do purple. I can be purple for a day. And you know what? We are going to start with the Helldivers video today that was suggested. Purple Ami equals slime girl. Let's not get twisted. Do I understand if you mistake me for a crayon? Do understand you mistake me for a crayon, I'm shoving my foot up your ass. No. This is me playing with things. Alright. Oh yeah, I have to enable it on this scene too, don't I? I do. Me. I'm just a purple guy. Sorry, I'm just a little purple guy. No one's ears got blown off by our sound? Good. Good. Okay. Okay. Do I need to move this over? It looks like everything's fine. Everything's sorted. I'm only 610 points short for TTS. Oh boy. Alright. Let me get my sound monitoring on for this, so we can all suffer if the sound's too high. So today we have the Helldivers 2 review. Triple the defense budget. Starship bloopers. I'm listening to a joke on Starship Troopers, but I don't really know for sure. I need to see chat. No. I'm not a guy. I have the sound video set at half, so it shouldn't blast your ears off. Or I will cry.
Video contains many certifiable thought crimes. Helldivers 2 is an amazing co-op shooter that plays exactly like No Man's Sky, except instead of exploring the cosmos, you die horribly in the Somme. Every copy of Helldivers 2 is personalized. Joel wanted me to fight 10,000 fire ants.
This is amazing.
In a universe where humanity is beset on all sides by curious wildlife
yes, this
and
is
the
Maxer.
actual Terminators, Super Earth, the galaxy's last and only bastion of managed democracy, sends.
Okay, so before we get too far into this video, because I know it's a bit of a decent length one, how is Helldivers 2, and is it worth getting to actually play? Because I've had my eye on Helldivers 2 for a while, I just never got around to, like, actually getting it. So, I'd love to know how the actual game is. You think so? You think? It's fun, but can be frustrating. Okay, that makes sense. It's definitely a community game we can get behind. It's a game, and it is a game, and it has guns. Well, I mean, so is Borderlands, but we don't talk about Borderlands 3. Best played with 3 friends. Oh. I could get behind that. Yeah, like, I've heard, like, I've been hearing a lot of it's good, and I've also heard some other things are not good, so I try to keep an open mind.
Its finest men, women, and children over 7 to liberate and spread freedom to the most horrifying hellscapes known to man, where war crimes are not only justified, but are necessary. We
that
play
was
as the
encouraged.
Helldivers, humanity's finest in emancipation and friendly fire incidents. But there's no need to worry about that last one because we are incredibly expendable. All across the galaxy, Liberty's enemies march ever closer. But through the power of teamwork, friendship, and 500-kilogram bombs, we will fight for freedom, for democracy, and most importantly, because it's really funny. Dudes be like, Helldivers 2 is military propaganda. My brother in Christ. It worked. Triple the defense budget.
This is amazing. This is amazing. And a quick review of Helldivers 2.
The first thing you'll notice upon entering the SES Judge of Judgment is the incredibly stupid name. And yes, you are able to name it other things using the Wizard
Oh my
101
God, the
naming
Pride
scheme.
music.
Things like the Pride of Pride, Star of the Stars, Patriot
Hey, look, man,
of
out there. I hope you're
Patriotism,
doing well.
and my personal favorite, the Founding Father of Family Values, because this game has a lot of violence in movies.
Starship Troopers.
Here
You mean
you see me
Starship
depicted as the
Troopers?
soy Wojak. The second thing you'll notice upon entering the bridge is the ongoing galactic war, and that we are currently fucking losing the galactic war, which is why we need to suit up with exactly 3 of our friends and choose which planet is in vital need of the democratic process. If you don't have any friends, then I hope you can speak good Mandarin. I think I did something to make him mad. But to win the Galactic War, we must first understand the Galactic
This is the
War. We
Constitution.
can ill afford another
Respectable.
Malevolon Creek, which is why I'm going to go over each of the 2 fronts that are currently reducing us to smears across the galaxy. And I'm going to do it at difficulty 7 or above, which is coincidentally the perfect enlistment age. On the left-turn side of the political spectrum, we have the Automaton Front, an enemy focusing on range tactics, heavy armor in slight excess, and an extremely high amount of explosive ordnance. Oh, I'm out of here, guys, later. If that sounds a little bit intimidating, then don't worry. I haven't even gotten to the horde of angry chainsaws yet. Chainsaw Man reference goes in
I'm sorry. A horde of angry chainsaws? What? Huh? I don't know if I should be confused, concerned, or baffled. Wait, is it just like an enemy that just has like chainsaw arms? And it's just comes charging at you? They're afraid. Be very afraid. They're silent. Oh my god, that's... Look, I had to deal with Chainsaw Man in real life. We don't need... I don't want Chainsaw Man in video game. Free chainsaws and fuel. Okay, fair point. Fair point. Fair point. Ash Williams, groovy. The American Dream. Well, I don't know. That might be a horror with if they're silent. That might be horror. Chainsaw arms or a chainsaw character or chainsaw arms. Yes. Just yes. It can't be an action game without a chainsaw like a Resident Evil. Okay, so the only Resident Evil game I've played is 5, so I don't know too much about Resident Evil, to be honest. Chainsaw Texas Massacre on Helldivers. Oh my god. Y'all killing me here. This is so good.
the video here. But talking about the Automaton Front is never complete without talking about the fucking Creek, or as it is known by our honored veterans, Space Vietnam. This goddamn planet has been single-handedly responsible for most of our casualties.
Well.
My leg!
Is this SpongeBob? And that is genuinely impressive considering that 10 million men have already died in the Battle of the Madagascar Lemur. Those are considered rookie numbers, and we're already outpacing the Taiping Rebellion. In fact, every single military operation we conduct is in some way related to Malevelon Creek. And personally, I don't really see what all the hype is about. After all, it's just one planet. How important could one planet possibly be?
I wonder.
A human supremacist! I am a human supremacist! Our supremacy will not end on this planet! I am a human! We will go interdimensional. We will unlock the secrets of the universe. God has laid them out like Christmas presents for his children.
Boot camp's got fucking weird recently. Malevelon Creek, and by extension, the rest of the front, is essentially an exercise in how much PTSD one man can possibly get. Their firepower is so overwhelming, so absolutely constant, that describing it as an endless retreat where you accidentally accomplish all of your objectives would be very generous, as it implies that I do the objectives.
Fucking shit!
This can occasionally push you into what we call unfortunate tactical positions, at which point your main options for survival are going to be watching your slower friends get burned to death in the Mekong.
I think that was an Alex Jones AI.
I will never unhear that scream. So yes, this planet may be what economists call bad use of our human capital, but after dealing with several days of what I can only describe as angry forklift decommissioning. Oh shit, this motherfucker's not OSHA certified. You really need a stepladder for that, sir. Okay, call me crazy, but I think there's a turret around this corner, guys. I fucking hate the creek. I can safely say that the attachment has become fucking personal. And honestly, I just want to see how many bodies one planet can hold. We lost Vietnam, we lost Afghanistan, and yes, we definitely lost America. So goddammit, I am not going to lose this shit to ones and zeros. God gave this galaxy to a non-binary species, and service guarantees gender affirmation. Fun facts about the bot front. Number 10, man urinates on fellow passenger for not being allowed to smoke. Number 9, if you happen to make the mistake of fighting here, you're quickly going to realize that most of our forces are Chinese, each one taking glorious revenge against the steel plants they work in. Very auspicious behavior. And conversely, we Guilo have been sent by our barbarian prince to fight the hordes of angry roaches, for it is the God-given right of the defense lobby to remind the bugs that it is man who is made in God's image. Really can't wait to die on fucking legally distinct Clendathu.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Terminid
OSHA
front.
regulations are written in blood.
The Terminid population problem is a wide assortment of increasingly horrifying demons, each one abandoned by their creators in completely different ways. My guy's got a bad case of the rigor mortis. We've got small bugs, big bugs, immortal bugs, bugs that function as artillery, and of course, the bugs that stalk you at night. Thankfully for us though, Napalm is an equal opportunity employer. And
Napalm.
a lot of positions are open right now. That is to say, once you start fighting the bugs, you do not stop for about 40 minutes or so. Because they just spawned a battalion from the ground like the goddamn Viet Cong for the 3rd time in a row. And I do not have enough raid for this shit. Good fucking throw, dude. I just want to walk to the McDonald's, guys. I'm just a level 1 goblin. It's literally my birthday. I'm a little birthday boy. And do you want to know the worst part about this war? We don't really know how they move between planets. And I don't think they have what you would call a plan. Rather, the Terminid simply appear in places they wish to eviscerate. Kind of like a Whole Foods. So, you can imagine my shock when I learned that those white bitches were trying to gentrify the moon. They are ruining the amazing local culture of,
Space
California. I hope it's becoming obvious that fighting these things under normal circumstances is what we call, same-day shipping to God. What the fuck? Fortunately for us though, we have access to a wide variety of unique and hilarious tools, which are only accessible via inputting a series of hand signs, informally known as airstrike jutsu. Whether it's big airstrikes, bigger airstrikes, biggest airstrike the engine can sustain, or airstrikes that specialize in killing everything except the enemy, there are so many bad guys with so much damage to be done that the most challenging part is keeping your team out of the blast radius.
I got 500 kilogram ready.
Oh shit.
What have you fucking done? And yes, you do have to throw them, which means you can drop them, throw the wrong asset, and even attach them to enemies that are running into you. My personal favorite combination is definitely the napalm and chlorine gas, for when you really, really want your enemies to feel pain. Inside and out. We also offer a gluten-free variety. Now, of course, airstrikes aren't the only thing we can deliver. just most of them, because here at the Defense Department, we take care to provide, why can't I say words? A wide array of support tools. And by support tools, I mean the machine gun, which are crucial and necessary for fighting, literally anything. We've got flamethrowers, jetpacks, automatic lasers that demand human sacrifice, average American police taser with unlimited ammo, automatic targeting, and a vendetta against teammates. For when you really hate everything in a general direction, railguns that encourage you to fire volleys like Napoleonic line infantry. It also has 2 fire modes called safe mode and unsafe mode. And of course, the giant death robots that randomly explode sometimes. What? That is the last time I buy a fucking Tesla. My personal favorite strategy involves everyone giving their mechs to the designated disabled man, who will proceed to stay inside of 6 different wheelchairs for 40 minutes. And as a caveat, we force him to crawl on the ground between mechs for immersion reasons. But honestly, all of these fantastic tools absolutely pay compared to the fast and convenient supply of GamerSup's energy drinks. Here to give you a fantastic boost to your gaming abilities, which, if you want to win this battle, I will now expect of you. We and the Chinese are not going to be taking back Osto 2 on 8 hours of sleep, but they did also release a sleep aid. In case somebody gives you too much energy, how am I getting away with this shit? GamerSupps comes in many different flavors, such as Guacamole Gamer Fart 9000, Grandpa's Ashes, and Good.
It really depends on the game.
It's just good. All at the low price of 40 cents per stratagem, which is literally cheaper than the dirt I am dying over. I went to Amazon and checked. So if you are still watching this video somehow, and God bless you if you are, you can have GamerSupps delivered with 10% off by opening the description and clicking the special stratagem code. What else do we have? We have sentry guns, in case you really don't want to play the game, as well as a strange amount of primaries that are child safe. Can't wait for the devs to nerf this one and say some shit like, sorry, Helldivers, Command sent us rigatoni instead of railgun shells. Now, in this kind of environment with this many fireworks, casualties are not just—
To be fair, you launch anything small, software with enough power behind it, it's gonna hurt regardless of what it is, assuming it stays intact. Which means that things are called improvised weapons for a reason. It's okay, Queen. I know you're a good teammate, even though I've never played this game with you.
expected. They are required. You don't really get to 12 million by being an easy game, which is why, upon the occurrence of my teammate's tragic passing, I will gain the ability to replace my friends with a legally distinct Helldiver, ready to fight and die for the worst planets you have ever seen. Like my brother in Christ, you are fighting over the Arizona Iced Tea world. Missions in this game are usually comprised of exploring new and fantastic worlds, and then building a Walmart supercenter on them. Local residents be damned. To that end, we have a great diversity of missions, like geological surveys, rescuing civilians who move their heads like confused avians. He's like a chicken! Spreading industrial amounts of carcinogenic gas, and launching the fucking nuclear missile. We did it, Patrick. We saved Istanu, along with a myriad of side objectives, which usually boil down to killing everything that moves, and occasionally loading a gun that will do it for you. We don't really talk about the Eradicate missions because they tend to play themselves, all in service to liberate a planet by an astounding 0.0003%. This isn't a fucking charity, alright? Reach 100% liberation, and lose all of it the very next day. I am currently reporting to you from the 5th Siege of Hellmire. Planets in Helldivers also have a unique blend of beautiful environments, like the Heaven Planet, where it is impossible to escape God's light, the Constant Meteor Storm Planet, where it is illegal to stand still, the Fire Tornado Planet, the Weird Fucking Animal Planet. I'm going to call you Genghis Shingles Ringer, and the planet that, before it was removed from the game, randomized your airstrikes, which made the process of calling a resupply much more interesting. Please put this back in the game. Look, Helldivers is a game that gives you a lot of tools, and a lot of places to use them. So honestly, the task of describing it all to you is, not my fucking job. The developers are literally adding things faster than I can show them to you. I began making this video before mechs existed. So inevitably, when the day comes that Arrowhead adds the secret third faction that we don't legally know anything about, I guess I'll be making a video about it. As long as this one gets views. Overall, Helldivers 2 is an absolute chaotic mess, where every mission begins and ends with the assumption that we are not going to make it, and yet somehow, some way, I still find a way to disappoint my friends. Some may consider it difficult, while others may consider it fucking bullshit. But personally, surviving against all odds in the face of complete, absolute absurdity is a big reason that I still love this game. No matter how many game-breaking bugs they introduce. Sorry Helldivers, this gun's accuracy rating is so high that it causes integer overflow. And with the Galactic War still ongoing, our story of spreading managed democracy has only just begun. We have the ships, we have the weapons, we need soldiers. Soldiers like the angry Chinese guy. Service guarantees affordable healthcare. They'll keep fighting, and they'll win. As long as the bug front plays the game today. On a more personal note, the Ministry of Truth extends its gratitude to all of its very kind patrons, enabling and financing our propaganda on a truly galactic scale. Your money is being put to excellent use, making only the funniest and most original content. Anyways, time to report to my execution now.
Oh my god. That was great. I like this one. Yeah, I think the only Half-Life game I played, I think, was Half-Life Alyx. Sounds like you need life insurance instead of healthcare. No shit. Definitely. Definitely seems that way. For sure. Definitely need that, I mean, honestly, you probably need both, but I would definitely take out, but if I had to pick between the two policies, I want to put more money in the life insurance over the healthcare. Especially in that line of work. Oh my god. Now, let's switch these around. Let's switch these in peace. Alright, let's see, what do we want now? What do we got? Because we have a lot of options today. We got some Uncle Roger, some Blue Jay, what else we got? You know what? We're gonna say hello to Uncle. No, we're not doing Uncle Roger right now. We are now coming at you with Blue Jay! The witch enemy in Castlevania aria. Sorry, who defeated turns into a purple cat and runs away saying meow. 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 Okay, I'm never doing that again. Alright, so now we have this is, I just had the tab. The dumbest Russian voyage nobody talks about. Let's see. What could this possible voyage have been?
There are an abundance of iconic combinations out there, like spaghetti and meatballs, a sorority girl in a white Jeep, or depression and alcoholism. But like US presidents and convertibles, not everything can be a match made in heaven. And as much as Mother Russia would love to dominate the high seas, nearly landlocked nations and stellar navies don't exactly go hand in hand. But for all the Russian Navy's dismal, underwhelming, pathetic lack of glory in the early 20th century, it's always important to look on the bright side. Like how it gives me good YouTube content. So on today's episode, I'm gonna learn you all about the misadventures of the Russian Baltic Fleet.
Russian Baltic Fleet? Alrighty. We do have some Fat Electrician loaded up as well for today. We do.
It's the turn of the 20th century.
Got a couple
What better way to
videos.
kick off a new era than
Expansion.
Russia is cold, which is great for things like stopping Nazis and badass TikToks, but not ideal for ports. Having your port turn to ice every winter is what those of us more versed in nautical terms would call not very cash money. The Russian Empire notices China has a pretty nifty port with, get this, warm water. However, there's this pesky
Yeah, we got a
little thing
couple
called
of
a
those
border
we've
in the
loaded
way.
up.
But that's okay. China isn't European. It's not a real country. So Russia takes control and gets the Qing to lease in the port. Japan doesn't like what they see, so they meet with Russia and are all like, "Hey, vodka boy, invading China is our thing." But Russia won't share, leaving diplomacy dead in the water. But that's okay. The new DLC just dropped and everyone's just itching to try out their new toys. So the Japanese attack Port Arthur, kicking off the Russo-Japanese War. Fast forward a few battles and the Russians are losing pretty badly. So the Tsar authorizes quite the preposterous proposal of sending the Russian Baltic Fleet to reinforce the East. And you may be wondering, but Blue Jay, what's so preposterous about sending reinforcements? Well, kiddo, the Baltic part of Russian Baltic Fleet means it operates in, get this, the Baltic. And as we learned earlier, boats don't like ice, so you can't go this way to Port Arthur, meaning the Tsar authorized a plan for an 18,000-mile journey around the world, which is 29,000 kilometers,
Damn.
or 1,140,480,000 gumballs. The voyage was also a logistical nightmare, as the Russians
Why
didn't
put
have
it
any
in
buildings in
gumballs?
Africa or South Asia to refuel along the way. Add that to the fact that the fleet spent months at a time frozen in port, so the crew of mostly uneducated peasants couldn't tell you the difference between a bowline knot and a porcelain pot. This group of inexperienced conscripts is put under the command of Admiral Rozhetsvensky,
Because there's different
a man
size
so prone to anger
gumballs.
that his staff made sure to keep a large supply of binoculars at the ready due to how often he would throw them overboard. But hey, fuck it, what better way to learn than a trial by fire, right? So they set sail on their epic quest to turn the tide of the war and bring glory to the motherland. And immediately, the flagship runs aground and a cruiser loses its anchor. While they waited for the
Potato,
flagship to
potato.
refloat, a destroyer forgot friendly fire was on and rammed into a
Not
battleship,
the biggest fan of
prompting it to
gumballs,
return for
honestly.
repairs. Don't worry, men. Surely this can't be foreshadowing. As the fleet pushed on, a growing hysteria spread amongst the crew. They were afraid that at any second, they'd be ambushed by Japanese torpedo boats. By Denmark. This is where the war is, if you forgot. But the crewmen didn't have time to worry about things as frivolous as logic. So when two fishermen approached the fleet to deliver a message, they opened fire. The two fishermen survived the false alarm without a scratch thanks to the horrible standards of the Russian gunnery. As for their message, they informed Rear Admiral Rozhetsvensky that he had been promoted to Vice Admiral. Iron this. This wouldn't be the only false alarm, as later another ship signaled that she was under attack by 8 Japanese torpedo boats, only to find out that there were 0 Japanese torpedo boats.
Oof.
There was just nothing there. Having survived the Baltic, our heroes made their way towards Britain, where they encountered
This is
small group
terrible.
of fishing trawlers at Dogger Bank. But surely by now our skittish sailors have learned their lesson. Ninjas! Streliet this bullshit! Chaos ensued as the Russians laid down hellfire upon the unsuspecting fishermen. The Russians are going bonkers. Some run around the deck aimlessly waving
Why are you
cutlasses to
scared of
repel imaginary
fishermen?
boarding parties, while others just cuddle up on the deck with life jackets, accepting their demise. Keep it up, men! These Japanese have horrendous aim, Igor. We haven't even taken a hit. But hey, at least this time we made sure they weren't fishermen first. We're shooting at fishermen, aren't we? Definitely a possibility, sir. Well, at least we didn't fire on our own ships, killing a sailor and Russian Orthodox priest.
What?
The British trawler fleet were sitting ducks as their nets in the water prevented a hasty escape, and the Russians fired at them for 20 minutes before realizing their mistake. While this sounds like the setup for a massacre, you forget our heroes are about as effective as a guy holding a fish on Tinder, sinking only 1 trawler and damaging 2 of their own ships. The battleship Oriole really captured the spirit of a TikTok pickup artist, reportedly
God,
shooting
I'm pickup
500
artists.
shots without scoring a single hit. 2 fishermen and 2 Russians died in the mayhem, so at least the survivors can brag at the local pub that they tied with the Russian Navy. This event became known as the Dogger Bank incident and nearly ignited a war between Russia and Britain. The Brits just settled for revoking their access to the Suez Canal, forcing the Russians to make a slight tweak in their course. The slow, coal-powered fleet made its way towards Africa, attacking more civilians and cutting underwater telegraph cables along the way. They met up with some German supply ships to refuel due to the aforementioned lack of African holdings to make port. What nice friends, those Germans. I'm sure the relationship will last. Africa's pretty big, almost as big as my self-loathing, so they took on double loads of coal and kept giant piles of the stuff just sitting on deck. Definitely the kind of thing to land you an EPA audit. But it's not like any sailors were going to die from black lung, except for the ones who did. Morale is low, so the Russian crew decides to lift their spirits by treating themselves to the exotic pets of Madagascar. Alright men, you all can— hey Igor, stop sniffing glue for a sec buddy. You all can go to shore and pick out one thing to bring back with you. Nothing too crazy like snakes or crocodiles. What did I say? Sir, I can explain. Watch it throw back the shot at Tito's. The ship became a floating zoo as the crew brought on a bunch of animals to roam the deck freely, including a crocodile and a venomous snake, which apparently took a liking for vodka. Panic followed shortly when the snake wrapped itself around guns and bit a commanding officer. One sailor gifted the admiral a parrot, which soon took after his rather extensive vocabulary of Russian curses. The flagship soon became overrun with chameleons who would frequently go missing due to their ability to seamlessly camouflage. Hey Igor, have you seen Comrade Camo? I can't find the little guy anywhere. No, I don't think so. Have you seen him, Private? Yeah, I don't think he's seen him either. But a good zoo isn't complete without an underwater exhibit. And luckily for them, the cooling plant on their refrigeration ship broke down, forcing them to dump all their meat into the ocean and giving them a nice following of sharks. At one point, the fleet was holding one of many funerals for a sailor who died of illness. During the ceremony, the Kamchatka fired a gun salute. Excellent work, gentlemen. Hey, say, you boys did make sure to load blanks, right? Yes, sir. Yeah. Igor, you're looking kinda pale there, buddy. After some more shenanigans, like foiling a mutiny and receiving a shipment of fur boots and coats instead of ammo,
I was a glue sniffer
realized that they were approaching Japan.
Too, when I was little, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh shit, that's right, I didn't train them. So he decided to run some gunnery practice on a stationary target. Miraculously, our group of misfits managed to score a single hit on the ship towing the target. But hey, potato potato. At long last, the Baltic fleet closes in on Japan, approaching the Tsushima Strait during the night. The fleet extinguishes their lights to maintain stealth, all except for the Orel, which, as a hospital ship, kept them burning in accordance with the rules of war. The Orel comes on a Japanese ship in Kirk. And finally, after making an extensive false alarms, attacking fishermen and merchants alike across half of the high seas, they come across an actual Japanese vessel and determine it to be Russian. So they use their lights to communicate with it.
Oh my god. No. No.
The Battle of Tsushima ensues. Will our gallant sailors hold their own against the Japanese? The Baltic fleet was decimated. 4,000 Russians die, with an additional 7,300 taken prisoner, compared to roughly 100 Japanese deaths. This effectively ended the war, marking the first time in history that an Eastern power defeated a European one. Way to go, buddy. Let's add that one to the scoreboard. Oh dear. So, in conclusion, the Russian Baltic fleet's odyssey around the world is a tale full of shenanigans and blunders, with our troublemaking peasant crew racking up quite the body count of innocent civilians and friendlies before seeing an actual enemy. And yes, while they may have attacked ships from practically every global power, disabled cities' communication grids, killed fellow sailors with gross negligence of safety practices, nearly ignited a major European war, and were about as accurate as Helen Keller playing laser tag, they also taught a snake to drink vodka. 9 out of 10 stars.
I don't even know what to make of that. I can't imagine just. Yeah, found a ship. This is a comrade. And then it's like, yeah. Yes, I did get the terminal montage link. Yes, I did. I haven't looked at it, but I do have the link. They fucked up. Okay, I mean outside that department of knowledge, I mean teammates. Well, this isn't even a case of teammates. They just completely misidentified an enemy. They all failed the perception check. failed a perception check. What? Alright, let's go through the storm reacts. We'll save those for later. Have to sort these around real quick. Make these easier to keep track of. What's what. Yeah, that's another short, so I'll put that over there. Get these all nice and sorted. Alrighty. Okay, we'll get about more fat electrician vids here. A lot of these were directly suggested from Discord, although I do have anything that was posted on the YouTube post also loaded here as well. Alright, so fat electrician! Please do not ask me about the buffalo stuff. I will fight somebody. The officers fall Soviet and quite a few Soviets joined the Russian Mafia and the Brava. I did not know that. That's actually the first I've ever heard anything like that. No, we are not going to Waffle House to fight. He has so many videos. Like, I always sometimes I have a hard time when everyone's like, whenever I open up the little video list and I'm like, I don't know which one of these I want to click. So whenever you guys are like, oh yeah, you should do this one, you should do this one, I always love I love the suggestions. So this one here is, let's me get this open here so I can check. America's most iconic delivery system, Grumman LLV. Or Grumman, I can't do Roman numerals because I don't remember what LL is. But yeah. I'm sure he'll tell me anyway.
Every single time I try to make a funny, lighthearted video, it gets completely unhinged.
Yep.
Today we're talking about Northrop Grumman's most iconic vehicle of all time. Every aviation nerd just sat forward in their chair because if I don't pick their favorite Northrop Grumman plane, they're gonna roast me in the comments section, because if you don't know, Northrop Grumman is a defense contractor primarily known for making warplanes, and they've created some of the most iconic and effective warplanes the world has ever seen. Some of those planes include the F-4F Wildcat,
thank you.
the F-6F
sure if it was a
Hellcat, America's gun with wings, the A-10 Warthog, the B-21 Stealth Bomber, and its replacement, the B-21 Raider. But all of these pale in comparison to Northrop Grumman's most iconic and durable vehicle of all time. A vehicle that was designed to perform its tasks swiftly, despite snow or rain or heat or gloom of night. The LLV, the Long Life Vehicle, aka the mail truck.
Wait, what?
You're not serious.
The mail vehicles?
You've
Huh?
gotta be shitting me. I shot down 3 MiGs on one of those.
Yeah, the same people that made like half the planes in US military history also made your friendly neighborhood mail truck. I can only imagine that the US Postal Service put out a memo like, hey, we're looking for a vehicle to help deliver packages, and the US government was like, oh,
I am
package,
so
payload,
ready for
potato,
this.
potato, same thing. Call up Northrop Grumman. They're really good at delivering that type of stuff. Okay, Northrop Grumman's used to putting warheads on foreheads, now they're putting parcels on porches. It's the same thing. Now all I need is for Lockheed Martin to start making action figures and my life will be complete.
You put munitions, chips, and toys?
Standard issue.
Oh, I actually watched the movie not too
Okay, all
long ago.
jokes aside, I'm actually legitimately upset that this thing is named the LLV. I mean, it's made by Northrop Grumman, the makers of the F-4F Wildcat and the F-6F Hellcat, and you didn't name this the Mail Cat? Are you fucking kidding me?
Missed opportunity in marketing.
Did you forget to do the ad?
No, I did the ad. Thanks for finally being in a YouTube video with a shirt on for once.
You're welcome.
Nice thong, Borat. This video is brought to you by Zydax. Custom gaming PCs. They're all made right here in America with American tech support. They can do any type of customization you want, or they have pre-built ones ready to ship right now.
How
And then
funny
we have
is
one
an
of our
ad
newest
line doing to
sponsors,
replace my
Zaka Life
computer?
Recovery Balm. It's made right here in America, and it's the best thing I've found for aches, pains, and athletic injuries. It blows every other topical treatment I've ever tried out of the water. I'm gonna have both those sponsors and discount codes linked down below. Let's get back to the video. So after finding out that the mail truck that I've grown up with my entire life was actually made by Northrop Grumman, I decided, hey, I'm gonna make a video on this. This is gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be lighthearted. It's gonna be funny. It's gonna be great. So I started looking at
This
the
is gonna go
specs.
downhill.
I started looking at the history, how this came to be, and then I asked myself one simple question. Wait a minute. Why on earth is a defense contractor making this little tiny car when an automotive contractor probably could have done the same
real
thing
question.
better and probably cheaper? And per usual, to absolutely nobody's surprise, it's because once again, the government ruins everything.
Of course.
All right, so let's take it from the top. Once upon a time in 1775, the United States Continental Congress says, hey, delivering mail is super duper important because we don't have email and phones and telegraphs yet, and delivering letters is the only way that we can communicate. So we need to establish a post office, and we're going to take one of our smartest founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, and make him the first postmaster general to figure this entire thing out. Then the government pretty much immediately decides, hey, we want this to kind of be a government agency, but also we don't want to have to give it any tax money to be able to run itself. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a legal monopoly. We're going to go ahead and say that the U.S. Postal Service is the only entity that is legally allowed to deliver the mail. That way, the U.S. Postal Service is going to be guaranteed to get 100% of the business, so they're going to have enough money to be able to fund themselves and not have to rely on taxpayer money. And this is still going on to this day. This is a legally recognized and regulated monopoly.
Makes sense.
What about FedEx and UPS?
Other
That's actually a good
packages.
question out of you for once. So the monopoly only applies to like letters and mail and shit like that. Packages are technically different and there's allowed to be commercial competition there. That's why UPS and FedEx primarily only deliver packages. Now I say usually because there is an exception that if you have something of vital importance that needs to be like overnighted to somewhere immediately, you are allowed to use FedEx or USPS to ship that if it's of vital importance. And I know what you're thinking. It seems like there's a pretty big gray area there. I mean, who sets the criteria as to whether or not something is important enough to violate the U.S. Postal Service's legal monopoly and be able to use FedEx or UPS to send a letter or an important document? Well, obviously that would be the U.S. Postal Service's in-house federal law enforcement agency, the Postal Inspectors. I'm not shitting you. The mailmen have their own federal law enforcement agency. I had no idea.
And they don't fuck around either.
Now, typically the postal inspectors are doing really great things like making sure that people aren't sending bombs or drugs through the mail or investigating people that have had their mail stolen, which if you didn't know is actually a federal crime. And back in the day in 1775 when the post office and the postal inspectors were founded, Congress levied the death penalty for stealing mail. And while that's all fine and dandy, once in a while the postal inspectors get a wild hair in their ass and they decide that they are going to enforce their legalized monopoly. For example, back in 1993, a big company called Equifax was using a private courier to deliver all of their mail, not just their packages. And because of this, the U.S. Postal Inspectors launched an armed raid of their company headquarters, determined that their mail wasn't important enough to be overnighted and that they were legally required to use the United States Postal Service, and then gave them a $30,000 fine. Yeah, if you live in America and you run a business and you decide that you don't like using the United States Postal Service and you're going to exclusively try to use like FedEx or UPS or something, there is a greater than 0% chance that armed mailmen in body armor will show up to your headquarters and raid your business, tell you that's illegal, and then give you a fine. Okay, do I want to talk shit right now because that seems absolutely insane and ridiculous? Yeah, a little bit. Am I gonna? Absolutely not, because they know where I live, okay? I didn't know they existed until yesterday, and already Special Forces mailman is on the top of my list of people I'm not gonna fuck with. So everybody kind of already knows that being a mail carrier is a government job, but most people don't understand to the extent that the U.S. Postal Service is its own government entity, so much so that it necessitates its own federal law enforcement agency. So going back to the Grumman mail cat and the actual physical transportation of the mail, it always just kind of went with the times. Back in the 1700s when they were founded, it was delivered on horseback. When cars came out and they became more and more common, the post office began using more and more cars. So the U.S. Postal Service would just acquire whatever cars they needed whenever they needed them, and this went on for decades. But by the 1930s and 1940s, it was becoming becoming a huge issue because the USPS had acquired a ton of different cars. They were all different makes, all different models. They all drove different. They all had different carrying capabilities. They all required different mechanics, different parts. It was a huge logistical nightmare for this enormous fleet of vehicles. As I'm sure you can imagine, it would be like 100 times easier if all of the vehicles in the US postal fleet were the same exact thing and all had the same capability, requiring the same replacement parts, the same type of mechanics, and you could teach all the postal carriers how to drive one vehicle and one
Makes
vehicle
sense.
only. So at the end of World War II, with hundreds of thousands of Americans returning home and looking
It's
for
efficient.
jobs, the United States Postal Service recognized a very unique opportunity with the Willys Motor Company Jeep. Because the Jeep was being used by the US military, there was already a ton being manufactured, and a lot of the people who returned home from the military already knew how to drive it. There was a ton of people qualified to work on them mechanically, and there was a ton of excess parts around. And with the military downsizing, there was a huge surplus of them, so it was a perfect fit in pretty much every way. It is a rare case of the government doing something
The FBI is
100%
no
right, and the United States Postal Service adopted the Jeep as their primary vehicle. And that worked for like 40 years, but as the US got bigger and bigger with more and more people, and people started sending more and more mail and more packages, the capacity that the Jeep could hold simply wasn't enough, and the United States Postal Service wanted something that was capable of carrying more mail. But you have to remember, this is a government agency, and they can't do anything simple when it comes to getting new equipment, so they can't just go over to like Ford or Chevy and be like, hey, build me a new mail truck. No, they have to figure out the exact specifications that they're looking for, and then they have to send it out to all the government contractors so that they can all put a bid in on it. That way the government contractors can come in, do the exact bare minimum, and make a ton of money. I mean, let's just look at the LLV, for example. They wanted this thing to weigh a maximum of 3,000 pounds. Guess how much it weighs? Exactly 3,000 pounds. They wanted it to be able to carry a minimum of 1,000 pounds. Guess how much it can carry? Exactly 1,000 pounds on the dot. They wanted it to be this tall, this wide, this long, and Grumman came along and said, dope, I'm gonna make a metal fucking rectangle exactly that size, throw an engine and some wheels on it, and call it a good day. They literally made a mobile filing cabinet, which, to be fair, in hindsight, after serving in the military, I should have been able to recognize that the mail truck that I grew up with was absolutely a military-grade piece of equipment built by the cheapest bidder. I mean, this is what I drove in the military, the Humvee ambulance, and I mean, the similarities are there. I mean, they both look like the blueprints for them were drawn by a third grader that didn't know how to draw a car yet, and then the 3D renderings were made out of fucking Legos. Now, to be fair though, while I have
one's just a box for mail, and one's just a box for a body.
Driven the Humvee ambulance and it's a miserable experience, I've never driven a mail truck, so I don't actually know what that's like. So I turned to the internet because surely some mailman has written something somewhere on the planet that is going to tell me what that experience is like, and here's what I found. Quote, regular driving around town was pretty bearable, but driving the LLV on the highway shouldn't even be legal. I've had to do it a few times, and those times were probably the most terrified I've been while operating any motor vehicle. Riding a motorcycle over 100 miles an hour? No problem. Merging onto the highway in a mail truck? You couldn't pay me to do it again. The sluggish acceleration, deafening noise, and harsh vibration were all bad enough, but knowing the body of the vehicle would crush like a soda can in an accident is what made it such a frightening experience.
Damn.
Nope, I was right, because that is to a T what it's like to drive a military ambulance. I got one of those things going 75 one time thanks to an enormous hill, and it felt like I was re-entering the Earth's atmosphere as everything that wasn't strapped down rattled out of place and started falling to the floorboard. Now, I don't know this for certain, but driving a Humvee or an LLV really fast kind of seems like anal beads, you know? The faster you go, the bumpier it gets, and if you go too fast, there's gonna be shit everywhere.
What did he just say? Brian, this does not seem appropriate to watch in front of the baby.
Now, to be fair to the Grumman male cat, is it a turd? Absolutely, but it is really tough. Because here's some of the testing criteria the LLV had to be able to meet before it would be adopted as the USPS postal vehicle. We have drive 5,760 miles at 55 miles an hour with 0 malfunctions and 0 broken parts. Drive 11,520 miles at 45 miles an hour on gravel with 0 malfunctions and 0 broken parts. Drive 2,880 miles, stopping every 250 feet, accelerating to at least 15 miles an hour in between stops with 0 malfunctions and 0 broken parts. Drive 960 miles on cobblestone, 0 broken parts. Drive 960 miles over potholes, ensuring that every
Not the
single wheel
potholes.
hits the pothole at least 35,000 times with 0 broken parts. To accomplish that, they took a Chevy S10 chassis, shortened the wheelbase so it could have a tighter turn radius,
That's
and then
just
made the entire
miserable.
body of the vehicle out of aluminum so it couldn't rust. So at a minimum, at least it's tough. Despite the fact that it is really tough, it is finally time to start replacing the United States Postal Service carrier vehicle because, well, the engine that they put in these things is an engine from the 1970s known as the Iron Duke, and this bad boy's getting like 9 miles to the gallon. This is the same engine they were putting in the Cavalier and the Trailer Park Ferrari back in the day. I mean, the Pontiac Fiero. Don't laugh, the Pontiac Fiero is high-class white trash, okay? The only thing cooler than that when I was growing up was the 2002 Dale Earnhardt Edition Monte Carlo. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. The main problem with the LLV is the gas mileage, okay? Because it only gets 9 miles to the gallon, you have to realize this is like the biggest fleet of vehicles that the United States has. There's over 140,000 of these
That's a lot
things,
of
meaning that
gas.
for every single penny that gas prices go up, the U.S. Postal Service has to spend an additional $8 million on fuel alone. And this is the part where you're like, oh, America's capitalist, that's fine, that's the cost of doing business, just raise the prices of your services, and it's covered, it's no big deal. You would think that, but remember, the U.S. Postal Service is a government-regulated monopoly, meaning that anytime they want to change their pricing, the government has to sign off on it, and the government takes forever to do anything. Another example of this would be like the power company, right? Because you can't shop around for different power providers the same way you look for like an internet service provider or a cell phone provider. You only have one power company available where you live, the same way you only have one post office available where you live. Anytime the power company wants to raise their rates, the government has to sign off on it, and it's a huge deal. Same thing applies to the Postal Service and stamps or anything else. Because of this, they can't effectively adapt and change their prices, so it's a humongous issue. So how do we solve this? Well, there's 2 options. You could A, get rid of the monopoly that's set in place because it's no longer effective for what it was originally supposed to do by helping the USPS, and now it's actually hindering them more than it's helping because they're no longer able to change their prices to actually be competitive. Or you could B, make them get different vehicles. And obviously, we're absolutely 100% of the time going to go with B because the US government, or any government ever really, is never ever going to give up control, and they have control over the USPS, and they're never ever going to let that go. They would rather see that thing burn to the ground than give up control over it. So, obviously, the USPS is getting new vehicles. But then that bites the US Postal Service in the ass because remember, they're a government agency, and they can't just like go to Toyota and be like, hey, Toyota, that new truck that you guys just came out with that's $10,000 and really cool, can we buy a bunch of those for fleet vehicles? No, they can't do that. They have to figure out the specs they want, then they have to send that out and let all these defense contractors bid on them, and then after they bid, they have to give the defense contractors millions of dollars so that they can develop the new vehicle, so they're gonna pay for all the R&D up front, and then when Oshkosh Defense wins the bid with this fucking thing that looks like it was animated by Pixar, the other company that they beat is gonna turn around and file a lawsuit and sue because they're saying that it wasn't a fair enough competition, despite the fact that the US taxpayers literally gave them all the money for R&D in the first place. And then that's going to delay the whole project more, and then bottom line, it's going to take 20 fucking years to fix the issue. The entire time the US Postal Service is struggling and trying to figure shit out while the government refuses to let them actually do their job and be fucking competitive. And it just sucks because the US Postal Service is sacred. There's nothing more sacred to society than the mailman. All I wanted to do was have a happy, lighthearted video because I thought it was funny that Northrop Grumman was making mail trucks, and now, after researching it, I'm gonna get upset every time I watch my mail lady deliver the mail because I'm gonna recognize that she's wearing a parka and overalls inside of her vehicle because the heater barely works, because she's driving a 40-year-old mail truck that's a piece of shit, because the government fucks up everything they even get near touching. So in conclusion, I guess that's the story of why mail trucks are made by defense contractors, and if you're a mail carrier, I've always appreciated you, but I'm gonna be honest, I have another level of appreciation for what you do, because I truly, genuinely had no idea the levels of bureaucratic bullshit that you had to hurdle on your way to get mail into my mailbox, so thank you. Seriously, thank you. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
Do we got any outtakes?
You know, the more history I read, the less I trust the government. And maybe, just maybe, that's why in the American education system, they emphasize math and
oh my god, you got
English
the foil
way
hat.
more than they emphasize history.
Well, I mean, to be fair, every conspiracy theory has a little bit of truth in it. if not absolutely bonkers. Oh, that was a trip I was not ready for. How dare they not call it male cat? How dare they? Male cat would have been perfect. Man, I got new appreciation for that poor mail lady that delivers our mail here. So that reminds me though, like they got a at least I know around here, like they don't just have those like big bulky like trucks. They also have, or they also apparently we also have a van that she drives that they drive sometimes for mail delivery and stuff. Military car just sounds like a military vehicle. Well, I didn't really talk mileage on it. People can make a lot of money in the mail industry. Yeah, I just got no rules and stuff. Like I don't think I could work in the like. I'd rather like sort mail than like actually deliver it. To be entirely honest. Well, that reminds me, I'm gonna have to start getting those extra bottles of water soon, so I can leave one out for the mail lady. Because I know we're starting to get into warmer temperatures later this month. What's that? Put everything here. Alright. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Don't want that, don't want that. Like, I don't know too much about like the entire mail industry, to be wholly honest. Like, I knew that like we could only like the postal service can deliver like actual mail. Like I didn't know like the loopholes and stuff. Have I ever heard of Tim Minchin? I don't think I have. But then again, I'm also really bad with names. So if there's like something they're associated with, I'd probably have a better chance of remembering that over the individual name. Hey, stretch. Good content, comedian, British singer. I do like some comedians. Like I know for the longest time, actually that wouldn't be accurate. 'Cause I still enjoy a lot of Carlin's works. Why did this go down? That's what's been bugging me. I'm too low. Maybe tall again. Thank you. Oh, you're fine. English is fucking complicated. Even then you got like American English, Australian English, British English, like English is freaking complicated. It's okay. And let's be honest, there's a lot of people who only speak English and they don't exactly speak it the greatest, so you're fine. Honestly, if anyone can to learn English as a not native first language, I have so much respect for that. Has this great kind of jazz poetry? Oh? Called Storm. Oh. I'm gonna make a note of that so I can check that out later. Alright, so I'm gonna step away for a moment because I need to refill my water. But I just realized it's empty. And then we're going to go into another video. Cállate! I'll be right back. I mean, I could be speaking English a whole lot worse than I am. I just can't keep my thoughts sorted half the time. There's a difference. I mean, I'll take it though. You're not making fun of me being pale, so We'll take it. Alright, and next up, we have... Well, pale comments are on cooldown. Huh. Is it because I'm purple? I have hacked the system. Alright, so this is, let me just scroll this down a little bit. Oh, I can't remember that. In that case, no, won't capture that. Damn. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Your reaction to Strong the anime is better, but I see most react to the live version, so it might be a copyright issue with the animated. Honestly, copyright doesn't worry me too much. Because a lot of times it's a lot like copyright claims and stuff, but versus like warnings and strikes and all that stuff. But like I said, I'll look into it. So this is the not sure how that's pronounced. Incredible 1960s supervillain lair hotel and why its architect got banned. The purple grimace is thinking us. Oh my god, I'm not even reading that out loud. I'm just gonna sit here with my water and my potato salad. And you can be in the corner and think about that.
Briden. It is a snowy winter day, and I'm on a tram in the Czech Republic. And I'm here with my old school friend Andrew, who is making his first appearance on the channel since 2019, when he famously said this.
I've seen worse views.
And we'll have more of Andrew's insights later. But today's video is not about Andrew, and it's not about a tram. Today's video is about a hotel built in the late 1960s on the outskirts of the city of Liberec.
But Tim, since when has your channel done hotel reviews?
Well, it turns out it does when the hotel looks like that.
Sorry, what?
Welcome to Hotel YesJed.
Okay, I see civilian layer here. Theme. I am excited. It does look like a super villain layer though.
So why have we come all this way to see some old hotel from communist-era Czechoslovakia? Well, it's not just because it looks like an alien spaceship crash-landed into the secret mountain lair of a 1960s Bond villain. This is one of the most famous buildings in the Czech Republic. But because most foreign visitors only ever go to Prague, people from outside Czechia don't seem to know about it. And today we're going to try and change that. All we need to do now is figure out how we get up there.
What does it say? We're obviously here because it says you're here, so we're following the road that way, takes us over here, and then I guess back round up here in the end.
Oh, I love those
then
maps.
you scope for shortcuts.
Going straight up would seem like a bad idea.
Yeah, let's just follow the road, makes sense.
There used to be a much quicker way of getting to the summit, but sadly the YesJed cable car is not running at the moment following a serious accident in 2021. So we've decided to hike all the way to the top, which means we're going to need a montage. And while we're doing that, let me tell you a little bit more about Hotel YesJed. It was designed at the height of the 60s space race, with construction starting in 1966. But it was only after 7 years of technical challenges and engineering magic that it finally opened in 1973, during which time Czechoslovakia had seen 2 regime changes, 1 Soviet invasion, and the first American astronauts stepping on the moon.
I think this is it. It's traditional for me to say, I think this is it, when it's very obvious here.
Yes, we have reached the summit, and today the hotel is very much inside a cloud, despite what this poster might tell you.
That's amazing.
1,012 metres. In a rare moment for this channel, we've climbed an actual mountain.
Woo!
I'm knackered. Shall we go in here?
When the hotel first opened its doors 50 years ago, it was the most strikingly modern building in the country. But if you came here 15 years ago, it was already a run-down and tired old relic of its time. I found one article saying the hotel looked like it had gone through the 7 stages of grief. But that all changed in 2015, when a group of locals stepped in to try and save it. They launched a crowdfunding campaign to raise a bit of money, and then worked together with the original interior designer to bring everything back to its 60s, 70s glories. And the business is still run by the same group of people who revived it.
Oh, that's amazing.
But never mind that. What does some random bloke from Reading think about it? It's time for Andrew's exclusive hotel review.
This better be good.
Well, it's colourful. That is certainly a look.
I like the
I've
wall.
got a sink, which is good.
Yep.
I've got a wardrobe, which is good.
So detailed.
It's
Love it.
very 70s. It's quite cool. It's a big room as well.
Just about big enough for you?
I'm happy.
Well, by Andrew's standards, that is a pretty glowing review. But what about my room?
I've been purple. Just for the occasion.
Oh, I've got better wallpaper.
I do like it. I mean, it's very Thunderbirds.
I could turn red,
It's a
but
very international rescue.
I figured we'd go
I
purple.
think I'm slightly in love. But while we're here, let's just imagine what this place
choices.
would have looked like to the average Czechoslovakian in 1973. Okay, we're going to have to make some generalisations and simplifications here, but in the days of communism, many of the places where you stayed on holiday might have looked quite uniform, at least on the inside, if not the outside, with the same cheap, mass-produced products that you saw absolutely everywhere. Of course, that's not unique to 1970s Czechoslovakia, but you get the point. Oh, it's just like back home, innit, Mildred? So when the first guests came through the doors of YesJed and saw the custom-made space-age furniture, the custom-made space-age fittings, and the custom-made space-age plates and glasses they gave you at dinner time, I think it would have blown their minds. What we're looking at is an explosion of creative freedom and individual expression that feels like it happened despite the authoritarian regime of the time, rather than because of them. So how did anyone get away with building it in the first place? Well, it's a long story, and it starts with a hotel caretaker and an accident with a blowtorch.
Oh boy.
You see, this is not the first Hotel YesJed. The original Hotel YesJed was a grand wooden lodge that stood on top of the mountain since 1906.
Oh shit.
But one cold evening
lot
in January
different.
1963, the caretaker attempted to defrost some pipes using a blowtorch.
Hey Minnow, is that your ancestor? Trying to defrost pipes with a blowtorch?
Thing led to another, and he accidentally burned down the entire building. And this led to a competition to design a replacement. The rules of the competition were fairly simple. They required architects to submit designs for 2 separate buildings, a new replacement hotel
enough.
and a new television transmission tower. But one architect, a man called Karol Hubacek, decided that rules were for losers. Why not simply put the hotel in the transmission tower? And he produced a stunning design straight out of 1960s science fiction. It took a while, but public support for his crazy plan gradually grew and grew until the authorities said, all right then, if that's what you want, we're going to let you build it.
Hell yeah.
Problem was, now he actually had to do it. Hubacek woke up the next morning knowing that his design was a brilliant idea on paper, but constructing it on top of a real-life mountain in real-life weather conditions was going to be a whole other question. And as if that wasn't enough to be dealing with, it's now 1966, and quite a lot is about to happen in Czechoslovakian politics. The leader at the time was a guy called Antonin Novotny, an authoritarian hardline communist who'd been in charge since the early 50s. And honestly, I'm not sure exactly why someone like him allowed Hubacek to go ahead with such an extravagant and maverick building project.
Why not?
Maybe he genuinely liked it. Maybe he just thought it was going to make him look good. Or maybe he was under pressure from a public who were demanding more democracy and more freedom. If you're Czech or Slovak, and you know more than I do, I would love to hear what you think. But what I can tell you is that by 1968, Novotny was out, replaced by the much more liberal Alexander Dubček. And he starts a programme of reforms and liberalisation in a period you may know as the Prague Spring. If anything, this was good news for Hubacek, who came out publicly to support even more radical reforms. But of course, it didn't last. A few months later, the Soviet Union sends in its troops, chucks out Dubček, puts a stop to all the reforms, and installs a new leader to return things to what they call normal. But while all of that was going on, back at Yesjed, Hubacek was trying to build a hotel, and to the surprise of structural engineers absolutely nowhere, the architect ran into technical problems almost immediately. But to be fair, Hubacek knew what he was doing, by which I mean he brought in some engineers who knew what they were doing. First, there was the extreme cold of the winters up here, which was a problem not just for the hotel, but also for the delicate TV equipment. So they ended up giving the building custom-made laminated protective cladding. And then there was all the snow and ice that would crash down from the top of the tower as soon as it thawed, so they also had to import special reinforced windows from Belgium. And then there was the wind. Hubacek had made the top part of the tower so thin that the moment there was any sort of wind, it began to suffer from worrying wobbles. Some people might call them transverse oscillations, but they're probably just showing off. The problem could have been easily solved by adding great big industrial-style strengthening bars, but the architect didn't want to ruin the beauty of his design. So he was going to have to try a much more experimental idea. His chief engineer looked at the tower, swinging about like an upside-down pendulum, and said, well, what if we try hanging some sort of pendulum inside the tower? If we get the weight and the dimensions exactly right, it might just balance everything out. And if you want all the juicy, nerdy detail of how they did it, then I can highly recommend the website phenomenyesjed.com. But long story short, Yesjed was one of the first towers in the world to have what's called a tuned mass damper, a giant weight mounted on springs that counteracts any wobbles.
Makes sense.
These are now relatively common in large skyscrapers, particularly the ones in earthquake zones. But the team at Yesjed were doing this in 1960s Czechoslovakia using some shock absorbers they'd found in a nearby car repair shop. And in 1969, Karol Hubacek was awarded the Perret Prize, basically the Olympic gold medal of architectural innovation, for his outstanding use of technology and, of course, his breathtaking original design. But it's now 1969, and that means there is a new Soviet-approved government who do not approve of Hubacek, or anything that he stands for. And in a spectacularly petty move, they confiscate his passport so he can't fly to Argentina to go and collect his prize. It remains probably the greatest award ever given to a Czech architect. Well, at least I made one successful check-in.
That's terrible.
By the time the hotel finally started operating in 1973, Hubacek was so out of favour with the government that he wasn't even invited to the opening and had to be smuggled in through the back doors. By this point, you can imagine, people were already nostalgic for those late 1960s moments of freedom and optimism that this place represented for them. And the fact that the government hated that only made the tower more popular. In the year 2000, a national survey of experts voted Yesjed the most important Czech building of the 20th century. And in 2023, it celebrates 50 years of surviving everything that nature and politics could throw at it, while still looking pretty darn good. Having said that, in some places the design does show its age, and I'm not going to pretend that everything is brilliant by modern standards.
I mean, that's
For a 4-star hotel, the elevator is extremely cramped, there's no gym or pool or anything like that, and the rooms that we stayed in didn't even have their own bathrooms. But I guess when you try and fit an entire hotel into a TV transmission tower, there are some things you just don't have space for. And ultimately, if you're lucky enough to be able to come up here and look at this view, I'm not sure any of that really matters.
So, Andrew, what do we think about this view? Are we going to go
Okay,
beyond
that's so pretty.
not bad?
We might.
Are we going to go as far as quite good?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a quite good view.
Quite good. Quite good.
If you'd like to visit Hotel Jested, Liberec is only 1 hour from Prague by bus or 2.5 by train. And we took the number
Honestly,
3
I
tram
wanna
to
go
the
there
end
just
of the
for the
line and
view.
hiked up to the top,
And just
so you
hope
could
there's
just
no
get a taxi the
clouds.
whole way. An economy double will set you back about €100 a night, but be aware that because of the tight space, accessibility is limited at best. Even in the summer when they open up the nice big ramps up to reception level, you've still got to use that tiny elevator to get to any of the rooms.
Okay, not the
Anyway,
elevator.
as always,
Claustrophobic
thank you all
shit.
for watching, and I'll see you soon.
Well, it turns out it does when the hotel looks like that. It's
It sounds so good until the elevators. I don't do elevators. I'm so fucking claustrophobic. Fucking hate elevators. It was good by Miss Biggio, it'll do. Alright, Arbiter, hope you have a good day, rest of your day, evening, afternoon, whatever time it is over there. Appreciate you hanging out now. Get that out the way. It was still really freaking neat, though. But I could not justify everyone just some really just like go to a hotel. Like I would need to find like something else I'd want to do there as well. Alright, what else do we have? Have so many things. Not quite in the mood to do food yet. So we're coming back to the fat electrician. Alright, I probably should have done those two back to back, but lucky. So this one is just had it open. Why are you like this? Why are you like this? Alright. We got the this is one day I'll keep all my tabs straight. But that day is not the day. Basically a war crime. America's future weapon, the XM-29. Alright. Let us see. Let us see.
All the weird future weapons the government wasted our money on. Today we're talking about that time that Uncle Sam decided that he wanted to take the M16, the US military's primary firearm, and replace it with a grenade launcher. But first, an ad brought to you by my favorite news app, Ground News. They collect news from over 50,000 sources, sticking it into one convenient app, allowing you to compare all the news coverage in one convenient location. Allowing you to simply swipe over to read different headlines for the same exact story, being able to tell which outlet is biased and which isn't, and how factual their articles actually are. And that factuality rating's really important because every once in a while some dumb stuff happens, you know, like the Marine Corps pulling a Wonder Woman and forgetting where they parked the invisible jet.
Oh no.
What seems to be the trouble, Wonder
Yeah,
Woman?
definitely Leroy.
Holy keys locked in the jet, Batman.
Because in times like these, real news and facts always gets
Grenade
drowned out by crazy
launcher,
conspiracy
oh my
theories
God.
like You know, my uncle back in the day thought about joining the military, and he said that it's probably because the pilot had TikTok installed on his phone and that Chinese malware somehow seeped into the F-35 and took over the F-35, ejected the pilot, and then flew itself to Cuba. I mean, probably not. It was more than likely just some dumb shit, you know, like there was a legitimate malfunction that caused the pilot to eject, and then Lockheed Martin forgot to put a kill switch inside the seat, so the autopilot just kept the plane going for another 80 miles and nobody could track it because it's a stealth fighter. And now, thanks to Ground News, I know that the government is trying to pull the oldest trick in the military handbook of claiming it's a feature and not a fuck up. Okay, look, I'm not trying to say that I'm smart enough to build a stealth fighter. All I'm saying is I've got a lawnmower in my garage, and whenever I get off the seat while the mower is running, it shuts down. And if I was going to build an $80 million plane, I would probably incorporate something along those lines. But hey, maybe that's the lesson to be learned here. The government should actually be investing in Toro zero-turn radius fighter jets, because this would have never happened, and it would bring a whole new meaning to the phrase mowing down the enemy.
The government's not smart.
You should probably be investing in Ground News, and now let's get back to the video. Alright, so Operation Give Everybody a Grenade Launcher is officially known as the OICW program, which stands for Objective Individual Combat Weapon.
Alright.
Why on earth would you call it that? Well, because the weapon they made was the XM29, aka the Tactical Car Door. That is a 20mm grenade launcher that fires programmable smart grenades on top and a German G36 on the bottom. And when your end goal is to give a weapon that ridiculous to every single grunt in the US military, you
that
kind
doesn't
of have
seem
to give it a
smart.
bland acronym of a nickname, because when Geneva finds out that you're replacing the M16, she's gonna have some questions. And when she wants to know the name and a brief description of this new weapon, it behooves everybody.
It looks like one, it really does.
It's objectively speaking, it is a combat weapon, and it's meant for an individual, and we call it the OICW. Because the last thing the brass wants to do is go in there and tell the truth. It's a semi-automatic grenade launcher with an underslung 5.56 rifle. We don't have an official name for it yet, but the boys are calling it the Baloney Mistmaker 5000. Once that happens, it's all downhill from there. Next thing you know, people are asking questions, people are making points, you know, like, hey, exploding bullets have been illegal since 1899. Would you care to explain the difference between an exploding bullet and a really small grenade that gets shot out of a gun? It would be a complete nightmare. So, acronym seems dumb, actually very important. It's basically camouflage at this point. I'm just gonna be honest with you, that tangent was not supposed to be part of the video, and I have no idea how to continue from here. So, I'm just gonna rewind and start over, okay? See you in a second. Today we're talking about America's Starship Trooper weapon, the XM29. Alright, so picking up where we left off, last week we covered the ACR program, the Advanced Combat Rifle. If you don't remember, basically the military came out right after Vietnam and said, hey, we want a new weapon to replace the M16, we want it to be twice as accurate as the M16 is, and all the weapons manufacturers took that as, hey, let's build a bunch of space guns to hunt aliens with. There was all kinds of craziness going on. They had guns that were shooting darts, they had guns that had grandfather clocks inside of them, and Colt even made a gun that every time you shot a bad guy, it was worth double XP. And when the smoke settled from all this ridiculous innovation, somewhere along the way, the military came to the conclusion of like, oh, instead of trying to rebuild a gun from the ground up, we could just put a scope on the M16 and it'd be way more accurate. And that's the story of how the American military got ACOGs in the M145 combat optic, which is great. The only problem was they spent $300 million to figure out that guns are more accurate when you put scopes on them, and now people want answers. So the government launched an internal investigation against itself, and you're never going to believe what happened. The government determined that the government did nothing wrong.
Of course.
You see, the program didn't fail because of corruption or the government's inability to point out obvious shit. Clearly, the program failed because the government has done such an incredible job with the M16A2, it simply can't be beat ever. It is the pinnacle of ballistic performance. They have maxed out the skill tree on small arms and bullets. There's nothing else that can be done.
We live in a golden age. Everything worth discovering has been discovered.
The report then goes on to recommend that if the government still wanted to increase the lethality of its soldiers, the only option they should pursue is an explosive option, i.e., we're all getting grenade launchers.
Yes! That's awesome!
So they fire up the government contracts, and this time they do actually have a declared winner, and that is HK with their submission, the XM29. And to be fair, technologically speaking, this thing is actually really impressive. That scope on top isn't just a scope, it's a regular scope, a night vision scope, a thermal scope, a rangefinder,
Fancy.
and a ballistic calculator all in one. And using that setup, they're able to pre-program every grenade before they fire it to airburst mode so it blows up at a certain distance away from the gun,
That's
not necessarily
impressive.
before it hits something. Alright, so in theory, for example, how this is supposed to work is say there's a bad guy hiding behind a concrete wall, so you whip out the Baloney Mistmaker 5000. You then point the gun at the concrete wall the bad guy's hiding behind, you click this little dot button by the trigger, that tells the laser rangefinder how far away the wall is. Then, if you want it to explode a little bit past the wall, you hit the plus a few times. Now the grenade is going to be programmed to explode a little bit past the distance of where that wall is away from you. So then, you just fire the grenade right over the top of the wall, and it's going to explode as soon as it passes the wall, right on top of the enemy's head. And then if the situation doesn't really call for grenades, it also has an underslung 5.56 rifle that is essentially the HKG-36. And most importantly, on that rifle, to answer the question that every Marine has had since the very beginning of this video, yes, there is a bayonet lug for this weapon. I mean, could you imagine being the guy that gets taken out with a bayonet on the end of this monstrosity? You're just sitting up there at the
That
pearly
sounds
gate waiting to
painful.
find out if you're going up or down. Somebody leans over like, hey, what about you? Oh, I got hit with a drone strike. What about you? I'm being honest with you. I think a Marine jumped in a trench and stabbed me with a piece of luggage. So this begs the question, why on earth didn't the United States adopt this thing if it's so awesome? Well, it's awesome in theory, it's not so awesome in practice. There's a lot of things wrong with it. For one, this thing empty with no ammunition inside of it weighs 18 pounds, which is very heavy for a firearm. To put that into perspective, an M16 kitted out with a grenade launcher, an ACOG, a PEC-15 IR unit, the whole shebang is about 12 pounds. So this thing is 50% heavier. Also with the XM,
So heavier than
there's
your
just some
bowling
bad
ball.
design ideas. Okay, so if we look at the M16 with the M203 grenade launcher, notice how it shoots bullets and it shoots grenades, and there is a trigger for shooting grenades and there is a trigger for shooting bullets. They're separate. Then you look over at the XM29, there's only one trigger and it shoots both bullets and grenades. And the only differentiator between the two is this little selector switch right here, KE standing for kinetic energy or bullets, and HE standing for high explosive. So, I mean, you can imagine somebody forgetting where their selector switch is, firing a warning shot, and whoops, that was a grenade, not a 5.56 round.
Yeah, I can see the problem with that.
My bad. Okay, third and final reason, it was just going to be a logistical nightmare all the way throughout, because that big-ass fancy scope on top is going to take batteries, and if you can't get batteries to make that scope work, the rangefinder isn't going to work, which means you can't program the smart grenades, which means you're basically carrying around an 18-pound gun that is ultimately a 5.56 rifle with a 9-inch barrel, and a 9-inch barrel at 5.56 gives you a range of like 200 yards, so it just doesn't work out if you don't have batteries. Secondly, even if you can get batteries all the way there, you gotta have smart grenades which have microchips on them, and I don't know what you know about American manufacturing, but we're not that great at making microchips,
we are.
and the places we get all our microchips from are either places we're likely to go to war with, or places that are bordering places that we're likely to go to war with, which could pose a huge issue in ammo procurement should war break out. So because of all these reasons, in 2004, the chief of the infantry steps up and is like, absolutely not, I'm not sending all these guys out to the front lines carrying tactical car doors, this is not happening, kill the program,
Tactical
it's over.
car
So at this
door.
point, all the other high-ranking brass and bureaucrats and weapons contractors are like, well, this is kind of an issue because this program was going to be the reason that it was okay that we messed up the last program that cost $300 million, and now we've spent a bunch of more money on this program, so much so that we're not even going to tell the public how much. We kind of have to make this program work. So what if we kept the program alive and we just split this gun into two pieces? We'll have the rifle that's going to replace the M16, and then we'll also have this cool smart grenade launcher. How about that? To which the Pentagon is like, oh my god, what a terrific idea. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And I can't prove this part, but the word on the street has always been, at this point in the project, the only feedback the Pentagon gave about the actual rifle portion was, and I quote, make sure it's more Starship Troopers-like. And this is where the XM8 comes from.
More Starship Troopers, like, okay.
And while the G8 does look really cool and super futuristic, ultimately it was just the German service rifle, the G36, that HK took and wrapped inside of a plastic body kit to make it look cooler, and then tried to sell it to the American government. And their big selling point was going to be that the new XM8 was going to be modular, meaning that you could take different barrel lengths and stick them on the same gun, making it so it was better at different types of combat. If you were going to be doing a bunch of close quarters combat, you could have a little short barrel, and if you were going to be doing further out combat, you could have a longer barrel for improved accuracy, which honestly is a terrific idea. The only problem is, The AR platform, the M16, the M4, it can already do that. So just to be clear, it doesn't do anything new that the M16 isn't already doing, and it shoots the exact same bullet, so there's pretty much no reason whatsoever to waste the money in switching rifles to a rifle that's basically the same. But there's money and reputations on the line, so they're going to keep trying to make it happen anyways. They end up ordering a bunch of prototypes, have it tested by the military, and everybody finds out pretty much immediately, oh hey, when you shoot a bunch of bullets through this plastic gun, it gets hot, and then the plastic starts melting off the gun. So the XM8 ends up getting scrapped in 2007, but there is a silver lining. It's not a complete loss because we still have the XM25, the smart grenade launcher. And this thing is actually absolutely awesome. It's pretty much the same grenade launcher from the XM29. The only thing they changed is they bumped it up from a 20mm to a 25mm grenade to make it a little bit more lethal. And now the plan moving forward with this thing is instead of having everybody in the military carry a grenade launcher, you're just going to take one guy from the squad and have him be the smart grenade launcher guy. Like you lose one rifleman, you gain one guy that can shoot smart grenades 700 yards. It's a pretty fair trade-off and probably a really good idea in a lot of use cases. So they give to the grunts and send them off to war, and seemingly everybody loves it. The Rangers get a hold of it, they seem to like it, they give it to the 101st Airborne, and those guys absolutely love it. They end up nicknaming it the Punisher. Some of the leaders in the infantry are quoted as saying it'll turn a 30-minute gunfight into a 3-minute gunfight. This thing is absolutely awesome because you can have everybody using their M16s, their M4s, their 240s, their saws, laying down suppressing fire, forcing the enemy to hide behind cover, and then just use a grenade to take out the enemy from behind cover, and it's a huge tactical advantage. And this goes on for years until one day in 2016, the entire narrative changes, and seemingly overnight, the XM25 Punisher becomes a giant piece of shit. Somebody starts digging up all these old stories, looking for anything in the history of the XM25 that could be used against it. Like, there was this one time back in 2012 where this one Ranger unit on this one mission decided that they would rather have a rifleman instead of this grenade launcher. Therefore, this weapon must not be very reliable. It's not like the Rangers are a special operations unit, and maybe that particular mission didn't call for a fucking grenade launcher, but whatever. Oh, and then there was this one time in 2013 where the weapon malfunctioned one time and all the safety features worked exactly how they were supposed to, but the operator of the weapon still got a minor injury, so we're gonna go ahead and use that as the excuse to can the entire program for, you know, troop safety, because nobody's gonna get mad at us if we're trying to protect the troops, right? Right. Okay, because here's what we're not gonna do. We're absolutely not gonna tell the American public that somewhere along the line somebody remembered, oh, exploding bullets are a war crime, and they have been since the 1800s. I wonder what the difference is between an exploding bullet and a small grenade that gets shot out of a gun. And then, if you Google it, holy shit, this line has been drawn in the sand since 1868. If it's 400 grams or less, it's an exploding bullet, and if it's more than that, it's a piece of ordnance. And a 25mm grenade is apparently less than 400 grams, so this entire project has been a war crime the entire time, right from the get-go. Hundreds of millions of dollars of taxpayers' money has now been wasted because somebody that ran this project didn't want to Google shit first. You know, it's only a war crime if the bullet explodes inside the enemy. This is supposed to explode over the top of the enemy, so this should be completely legal. Yeah, that is true, but hear me out. If you can point the laser at the wall the bad guy's hiding behind and make the grenade explode a couple inches past that wall, you can also aim the laser at the bad guy and make that grenade explode a couple inches into that bad guy. So yeah, I guess in conclusion, that's the story of the OICW program. That time the US government decided that they were going to spend 3 decades and hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to develop a fancy new futuristic grenade launcher that from its inception, the very idea of it was actually illegal. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. You know, it's only a war crime if the bullet explodes inside the enemy. If it explodes...
Holy shit. That was not the ride I was expecting. That was not a ride I expected today. Yeah. Oh, holy shit. We went on a lot of adventures today. Hotels, Mail trucks. Now weapons. I'm going all over the place today. Alright, let me just get this one out the way now. Still getting through these. Okay, let's grab the one from YouTube. That was directly suggested. Grab that. Let's see. Or this, Alright. Switch this with this. No. Yes, you guys stay in the right tab. Now we got some terminal montage. Terminal montage, something about Left 4 Dead 2 animated. Oh, this is a Halloween special. Let's see what we got. This one's from our good friend Gerald on YouTube. I love basic animations. Yep.
I love you guys! Let's go, Louis! Chopper! Whoa!
You people ready?
Before we get into this, I do want to mention I've never played Left 4 Dead. Like, I haven't played any of them, so I have no idea what I'm about to witness.
Merry Christmas. Zombies, don't say that!
Noted. This smack is on.
Killing vampires looked easier in the brochure, didn't it?
Close your mouth, open your mouth, Francis.
Don't get in a helicopter with a zombie pilot. Great.
Wait, what? Hi, Shrek.
Oh, he ain't coming back. Chicken ain't nothing but a bird.
Oh, not again.
Whoa, I didn't do that.
That was me.
I hope this makes you feel better.
Thanks, Coach.
Fire, fire.
Kip, will I hear a boomer?
I was born in this nursing home and I'll die in this nursing home.
I just love how simple it is, the animation for the art is. I love that.
Old man, use your health kit.
You guys want to come with us?
Yoink.
Man, I told you you had a turd on your suit.
Okay, here's the plan. First, we do a quick check around for corn dogs.
Oh no, they're coming.
We have to get out of here.
Donkey!
Oh my god.
Get to the bridge! Come on! And his name is John C.
so beautiful.
Boom about here! Heads up! No!
Mods, mods, more mods. Oh my god, why? That's
Skibidi. Skibidi toilet. Oh yeah.
Oh my god, Kirby. That was great. Now we're gonna see how that entire thing play. Kirby. Oh yeah! Kirby is UIRL, okay. I think the last thing I ever played with Kirby was some like All-Stars game.
The Berg Dimension.
I'm so glad I did not pause it.
Let's see what this does.
Oh my god. That's great. That is great. This is actually my first time seeing Terminal Montage. This is great. I love this. You're hitting that subscribe button. That was not a trip I was ready to go on. Buy them both on sale. They go down to $2 for both games. Oh. Those are secret ends in their videos. Oh, I'll have to keep that in mind. Tell you what, Queen. I will buy Left 4 Dead when they go on sale, but you have to play it with me. That's my only catch. That was weird. Let me see, what else do we have here? Gonna close this one. Okay, so I have what looks like some tornado videos left. I got some tasting history And I have a Uncle Roger video currently loaded. How we feeling? Oh, of course. I always love suggestions, even though like sometimes I won't like watch them like on stream, or I might not like make a video. I do always watch whatever gets suggested though, 90% of the time. I still was not ready for that in that Uncle Roger video. So Jesus fuck. This is the Uncle Roger vid is the Thai green curry. Is what it is. Actually, we will do that so I can have my little munches I brought up here. Who? So we are rolling in with Uncle Roger hates Jamie Oliver Thai green curry. Go grab my little potato salad here. My comfort potato salad because I'm scared. Anything with Jamie Oliver scares me. I'm scared. But I got comfort potato salad, and I got some water, and I have coffee, so I think I'll be okay. I hope I'll be okay. If not, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Come on over, I got plenty.
It's delicious.
No,
fast
no,
cooking.
no,
I
no,
like this.
no.
I like this a lot.
This not how you make green curry.
I may have a borderline
Mr.
obsession
Chili
with potato
Jam,
salad.
aka Jamie Olive Oil. He disappoint Uncle Roger so many times now. How his Thai green curry gonna be? Subscribe
Terrible.
to Uncle Roger channel. We so close to 4 million niece and nephew
I'm
in
not-
family. And
I'm
when
not
we
subscribed
hit
to my
4
main
million,
account.
Uncle Roger gonna make my own
Need to
ramen.
fix
So
that.
smack the subscribe button now. Go!
Guys, we're going to make Thai green curry. It's delicious, fragrant. My family love it. We're going to go 1 cup of rice. That's enough for 4 people.
1 cup rice for 4 people. Is
Wait,
your
wait,
whole
wait.
family just baby?
But 1 cup of rice only makes like 2 cups. I think. Or like 2 servings or whatever the hell, I think. Like what? That's wild.
But that like 5 grain of rice each. You starving your children, Jamie. 8 seconds in, already make mistake. He the Usain Bolt of fucking up.
And then 2 cups of water.
Speedrun this, I
This
see.
is the perfect equation for the perfect fluffy rice. A pinch of salt, lid on top, medium heat, happy days.
No, not happy day, no. You don't have rice cooker. It's sad day for Uncle Roger.
We're going to make a paste. Peel a thumb-sized piece of ginger. So we're going to go in with your thumb size, my thumb, not your thumb, right? Thumb-sized piece of ginger. In.
Ginger wrong. Use galangao. Nobody use ginger for Thai green curry. Nobody.
Thumb-sized piece of ginger. Into the food processor. Into the food processor.
food processor. Jamie, I thought you have pestle and mortar. When you're making the Malaysian fish video, I see you have pestle and mortar. Where is it? Use your pestle and mortar. Where is
Nowhere
it?
to be
Niece and nephew,
found.
food processor, not replacement for pestle and mortar. Because food processor just slice
I've been
shit
thinking
up.
about getting
Pestle
one of
and mortar
those
can do Uncle Roger favorite thing,
multi-cookers, but
pounding.
I haven't committed to it yet.
Pounding bring out all the flavor. Maybe that's why Auntie Helen pounds so many other people.
Into the food processor. Then we're going to go in with the lemongrass. Now I need to spank it.
No.
Now I need to spank it.
Stop spanking. Spanking not gonna do anything. You're gonna throw it all in food processor anyway. It's spinning at 9,000 RPM. If you
It's not garlic, like, 'cause I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's garlic that, basically you traumatizing it by beating the hell out of it makes it release its flavor. At least I think it's garlic that's like that. So you have to beat the hell out of it. But, yeah.
you spank harder than food processor, then I feel bad for Mrs. Oliver. Sorry, Jamie's children.
And then this part, I'm just going to break that up and put that in. 4 cloves of garlic.
Garlic, good.
And then 6 leaves of kaffir lime.
Kaffir lime, okay.
Pinch of cumin. Beautiful. Little green chilies here.
Oh, who is that? See, I think that Jamie wife running away from spanking.
Oh my god.
Little green chilies here. Out with the seeds. I'm going to go for 3.
What you gotta get seeds?
What he say?
I'm going to go for 3.
3? Just 3? Just 3 chili for your curry. Hiya.
Out with the seeds. I'm going to go for 3.
Uncle Roger making Thai green curry for 4 people. I gonna use like 20 or 30 chili, but he used 3? That less than 1 chili per person. Why even bother with the chili? This not gonna be curry, this gonna be smoothie. Hiya. Not enough chili. Uncle Roger predict your green curry not even gonna have green color. Keep watching video, see if Uncle Roger prediction correct.
Little green chilies here. Out with the seeds.
Also, why are you de-seeding the chili? Why? Uncle Roger realized this is white people's favorite thing. They like throwing out seed of chili. Seed is where all the flavor is. Don't be pussy. Eat your chili seed. Hiya. Jamie, don't need to take the chili seed out. You got 5 children. You have more than enough seed.
Out with the seeds. I'm going to go for 3. 2 shallots.
That's so many shallots.
Nice bunch of coriander. So
too much coriander. Hiya.
Well, that's where we're gonna get green color from. Let's go get all the coriander.
So that your paste? That all the ingredient for your paste? No galangal, no white peppercorn, no shrimp paste. Just that little sprinkle of cumin, not gonna do shit. This curry gonna be so weak. So weak.
And then a tablespoon of groundnut oil into the pan. It's fairly hot. I'm going to go in with 750 grams of chicken. And also the chicken thigh is tastier. So we'll fry this off. 8 minutes in a hot...
No, Haya, no. Metal spoon or non-stick pan. That's not even the biggest crime in this picture. You're not supposed to fry chicken like this for green curry, Haya. You need to mix the chicken with the paste and then stir fry it together. Jamie Oliver haven't get one thing right so far. You're just making chicken stir fry now, and earlier you would make smoothie. He's making every other food except green curry. What crazy thing he gonna do next?
In the Think Markets today, you can get a whole bunch of different mushrooms. We've got enoki's, king oysters here, but you get those little mixed pack.
Nobody put mushroom in curry.
Of Asian...
400 gram?
Oriental mushrooms. Quarter some. We can leave these whole and just break them up into...
This much mushroom. And he used 3 chili. Now he making mushroom soup. Hi.
I just got lost in
mushroom? Who gonna eat this much mushroom in one meal? Jamie, just because you put in enoki mushroom, it don't make this dish any more Asian. This curry is so white, it about to book spa holiday.
little wads. Look how amazing that is. So I'm just going to push the chicken to one side.
Don't push to one side, throw it out and start over.
The mushrooms. Loads of texture, loads of different shapes.
Look at that mushroom, that big ass piece of mushroom. Who want to eat that in your curry? You're just eating green curry and then one big blob of mushroom get in your mouth. And when you cook mushroom, all the water from mushroom come out. So this dish not even gonna taste like green curry. It's gonna taste like mushroom sweat. Hiya.
And that can suck up some of the lovely fat that's come out of that chicken as well. These little delicate mushrooms here, I'll put those in just at the end.
No, don't put it in.
Now we've got some nice colour on the chicken and the mushroom. I'm now going to go in with a paste. Delicious.
No.
I like this a lot.
I see the emotional damage being inflicted on him as we speak.
Uncle Roger's so upset. I put my leg down from chair. This not how you make green curry. Hiya. You don't just whack it in like it's soy sauce. Green curry, you cook the coconut milk, pour the green paste in, and then you boil until the fat coming to surface. Beautiful green fat, not just throwing random shit in pan. This worse than his egg fried rice video. Where did you learn how to make Thai green curry? From K Cooking Channel, is it? Hiya.
I'm going to go in with a paste. Delicious, fast cooking.
Don't brag about being fast. It's easy to be fast if every step wrong.
Straight in with the coconut milk. And I'm using a coconut milk that's light.
No.
So give that a little shake. Now in with the Monge 2.
Is the good stuff.
Now we know. Now in with the Monge 2.
What the heck even is that?
You put in so much. Remember, 3 chili. 3 and 200 grams of the worst vegetable ever, Munch 2. If vegetable tastes like sad, Munch 2 tastes like terror.
Ooh.
Is this what British people think green curry is? Is this what they're eating?
2 minutes to cook, so that's kind of your timer now. Of course, you could use any other seasonal greens. Have fun with it. Make it your own. Now,
don't make it your own. Make it Thai, please.
Mushrooms here go in.
Oh no.
Fish sauce go.
Fish sauce, wrong brand. Everybody buys fish sauce. You guys quick brand. Not this bullshit.
1.5 lime.
Wrong again. Nobody use lime.
Basil.
Wrong again. Thai basil. Just pluck. Don't slice. How many things can he get wrong in one video? Hiya. I can't even put my leg back up on chair ever again.
You've kind of got like ginger tea infused rice.
Where the tea come from?
And then we'll just use a fork just
my...
to scuff up that rice. Because what we want is light.
Look at the... Oh my god, the rice looks so clumpy and wet. Hiya. Niece and nephew, please hit subscribe button now. Uncle Roger need the strength to carry on.
Rice. Here, my friends, is our curry, balanced with lime and
Probably for the extra
seasoning
money.
from the fish sauce. Finish it with some herbs. What a wonderful dish. More chilies, guys, more chilies.
Oh, so far chili. Yeah.
Here, my friends, is our curry, balanced with lime.
Niece and nephew, does this look like Thai green curry to you?
I wanna
Uncle
know, I've
Roger
never
put
had
on
it.
screen, show you side by side. Hiya. This don't look like green curry at all. See, this curry don't even look green. He didn't use enough green chili. What is this Munch 2 mushroom bullshit? If your curry
It looks
mostly look like
sad.
Munch 2 and mushroom, you fucked up. Uncle Roger can't even say hiya anymore. It's too much pain. I'd rather have Auntie Helen leave me again. He have no pestle and mortar, but somehow he still crushed all my hope and dream.
You know, it's lovely to see little pops of colour. Thai green curry, cooked in the time that it took to cook some basmati rice.
Basmati rice, wrong rice. Use Thai jasmine rice for Thai green curry. Is he trying to get Guinness World Record for most fuck up in one cooking video?
Look at that. So let's have a little go. Very good. You know, it's got that
Questionable.
wonderful sort of tropical flavour, like really, really perfume.
Uncle Roger never hear anyone describe curry as tropical before.
Of course, you could swap the chicken out for tofu.
No, don't put tofu. I see before what you do with tofu. Leave tofu alone.
And there you go, guys.
Don't
Thai green
violate
curry,
tofu.
Jamie style. Really, really nice. If you want the recipe, click on the details below.
Don't click.
And if you want a cocktail to go with this, then go over to Drinks Tube and see my friend Diridon, where we did an epic mojito.
Welcome
No,
in, Ford. How you
please
doing?
don't. Learn to make green curry properly first. No need to pair it with mojito with lime. He's so clueless but confident. Where he get all this confident? Regular people have imposter syndrome. Jamie have the opposite of that. This Jamie make Uncle Roger cry again. The only thing he get right is the set design. It's
How you
so
doing today,
pretty.
Ford?
This is old school Victorian English kitchen. Remind me of simpler time back when Jamie Oliver can't upload YouTube video. Food processor. How many times? I've paused the video so many times and we're like 50 seconds in. Oh, this video is gonna be painful. This pestle and mortar is gift from Auntie Liz. Go check out Carbonara video if you haven't. We both talk about how much we like
I
pounding.
couldn't be trusted with the pestle
I
and
think
mortar.
that his assistant, even she know this gonna be shit show. Jamie, don't need to take your seat out. You have 5 children. You got more than enough seat.
Sorry,
you got 5 children. You got more than enough seat. If vegetable tastes like sad, munch 2 tastes like terror. I'd rather have Auntie Helen leave me again than watch this
Holy
shit.
outtakes.
Many niece and nephew telling Uncle Roger, Jamie Oliver better at making Italian food, not Asian food. Should I review Jamie Oliver making carbonara?
No.
Niece and nephew, leave comment down below.
Don't put yourself through that. You've been through so much already. You don't need that. You don't need to suffer through it more than that. You already have. Thank God for comfort potato salad. Comfort potato salad won't betray me. Honestly, I'm not sure. Like, because I've gotten, I've come to expect bad from, like, Jamie Oliver, but, like, Uncle Roger does have, he seems to know that there are lines of it, because some of the stuff he said has, like, gotten me a couple times, but at the same time, I also, it's like, I do get a little like, huh? Did you just say that? So, I get it. I get it entirely. That's a lot though. Like I like a good dirty joke. Don't get me wrong. I do, but sometimes it's a little much. I'm not gonna lie. But I don't think that's strictly a bad thing. Move my comfort food over here so it's out of my way. Because I love the potato salad, but we need to get it out the way for the moment. Give it a second. Have the rest of that later. I have with the side of tacos. I haven't decided yet. Jesus, tacos. Tacos do sound pretty good right now, I'm not even gonna lie. You know what? We need a palate cleanser after that. So, how about we do a video on fettuccine alfredo? Because I need a palate cleanser after that. This is the tasting history. The original fettuccine alfredo with no cream. Just gonna give us a little bit of a palate cleanser from the the Thai curry. Yeah, but like with that said, there does seem to be he does seem to have a line though that he won't cross with certain jokes, and I do respect that. Food run? Alright, man, I'll see you in a bit.
Alfredo, at a place like the Olive Garden, you can expect a bowl of pasta drenched in a creamy and garlicky sauce. And delicious it is. But Italian? It ain't. No, the original Italian version of fettuccine alfredo is altogether different and doesn't have any cream at all. So thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring this video as we make my favorite way to put on weight. Fettuccine alfredo, the original
finally offered me a
recipe. This
sponsor.
time on Tasting History. So fettuccine alfredo, or fettuccine all'alfredo, is a dish that has been made for so long that its origins are really lost to the mists of time. But the version that we know here in the US gets its name from Roman restaurateur Alfredo di Lelio. And it is his version of the dish that I endeavor to recreate. Now, he never actually wrote down the recipe per se, or at least shared it, but in 1927 he did give away the secret to his dish. And it was to use the best ingredients to make his fettuccine, then a double quantity of butter and cheese, and well mixed. That is my secret. And if you're thinking, well, there has to be more than just that, no, there doesn't seem to be, because his restaurant, or rather restaurants, are still in operation today and say that they still make it the way that they made it then, and they say that's all there is to this iconic dish. So to make the pasta, what you'll need is 2 cups or 250 grams of Italian pasta flour, sometimes called 00 flour, 2 cups or 250 grams of fine semolina flour, and 6 large eggs. Now, can you just buy dried pasta, you ask? Well, yes, you can. But since Alfredo used fresh pasta, that is what I'm endeavoring to make, but I have nothing against dried pasta. I had some last night when I made a big bowl of chicken sausage spaghetti bolognese from today's sponsor, HelloFresh. HelloFresh makes making dinner so much easier because everything gets delivered right to your door, so I don't have to continuously go shopping for ingredients. Also, the ingredients that do show up are pre-portioned, so I can get right to the cooking. And the recipes are well written and easy to follow, so the only thing you have to worry about is how to eat spaghetti without looking like a wild animal. I swear I know how to eat spaghetti, I just chose to make a mess instead. With 40 weekly recipes, you'll never get bored with the selection HelloFresh offers, and they have something for everyone: vegetarian, calorie smart, quick and easy, and even some new selections for vegan dinners. Oh, another thing that I love about HelloFresh is that you can swap in different ingredients like your sides or your proteins, so you're always getting the meal that you want. So if you don't like chicken, instead of chicken bolognese, you can have pork bolognese. It's very flexible. So go to HelloFresh.com and use my code TASTINGHISTORY50 to get 50% off plus free shipping. That is 50% off at checkout when you use my code TASTINGHISTORY50 at HelloFresh.com. Now, unlike the dried pasta that I got from HelloFresh, this is how you'll make your fresh pasta. Pour out the 2 flours onto a clean workspace and then mix them together. Once well mixed, create a well in the center where you can add all of your eggs. Then, trying not to make a mess, begin incorporating the flour into the eggs. And once all of the ingredients are incorporated, you should have a shaggy dough that you can start kneading by hand for 7 to 8 minutes. Keep kneading the dough until you have a nice smooth ball, then wrap it either in a damp cloth or some plastic wrap and leave it in a cool place to rest for about a half an hour. Now, in the summer, in my house, there aren't a lot of cool places, so I put it in the fridge, which works just as well. After 30 minutes, take it out and cut it into pieces. I cut mine into 3 pieces, but I would suggest cutting it into 6 pieces. It's just going to make it a lot easier when you are rolling it out. And to roll it out, you can either use a hand-cranked roller or one like the one that I have, which attaches to a stand mixer. I just got the new KitchenAid. It's red, it's beautiful, and the reason that I got it was because I dropped the old one on the floor. And luckily it didn't fall on my foot, but it did break the KitchenAid stand mixer. And yeah, I was devastated. We've been through a lot together. Also, a little story about the shirt that I am wearing in that video. So when I was on book tour shilling the Tasting History cookbook back in May, at one of the signings, someone stood up and said, "I've been watching you since almost the very beginning. You had me at garum," referring to the episode on garum, the fermented Roman fish sauce that kind of got this channel started. And I just love that so much that I decided to put it on a t-shirt. And I had one made for myself, and you can buy them if you want. I'll put a link in the description. Anyway, to use this thing, press your piece of dough down a bit and sprinkle it with flour. The key to making this whole process work is by having plenty of flour on that dough. You don't want it sticky at any point, or else it'll stick to the rollers and you'll get holes and it'll just be a big old mess. So use more flour than you think. Then set the rollers to the widest setting. On mine, it is a 1, and then you're going to pass the dough through, then fold it in half or in thirds depending on the size of the pasta, and pass it through again. And you want to repeat this at least 3 times, but you could do it 7 or 8 times. Once it's nice and smooth and uniform, then you can start tightening the roller. Just 1 notch at a time, passing the pasta through once each time you tighten it. And again, make sure to use plenty of flour so the pasta doesn't stick to the rollers, and you can make it pretty much as thin as you want. I'm going with either a 5 or a 6, but you can get it up to like a 7 or an 8 to get it really, really thin. Just know that the thinner it gets, the harder it is to work with. But once it's as thin as you want it, run it through the machine on the fettuccine cutting setting. Once all of your pasta is cut, set it aside and boil a pot of water, about 3 quarts. And while it heats, you can get your other ingredients ready. So for every half pound of pasta that you're going to be making, what you'll need is 100 grams or 1 cup of Parmigiano Reggiano, freshly grated on the finest grater you have. And being freshly grated is imperative. If you use pre-grated Parmesan cheese, it's not going to work because they add fillers that make it so it doesn't clump, but it also makes it so it's not going to incorporate with the butter, and you're just going to have a big old mess. And then 4 tablespoons or 55 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature. And you're going to put that in a bowl that is also either room temperature or just ever so slightly warm. And you'll also need a little bit of the pasta water that you're going to be boiling the pasta in. So you got your pasta, you got your butter, and you got your cheese. But before we put them all together to make this fettuccine Alfredo, I think I need to tell you who Alfredo was. Picture Italy, 1908. A young man, Alfredo di Lelio, frets over the health of his young wife, Ines, who is pregnant with their first child. Unfortunately, Alfredo doesn't know what to do because he's not a doctor, and he doesn't know how to help his wife. The only thing he does know how to do is make pasta. So, after praying to Saint Anne, protector of pregnant women, Alfredo goes into the kitchen and whips up a bowl of pasta with butter and Parmesan cheese, and gives it to his wife, who absolutely loves it, and I guess got her strength back because a couple months later, she gave birth to Armando, or Alfredo II. On top of that, in 1914, when they opened a restaurant called Ristorante Alfredo on the Via della Scrofa in Rome, she suggested putting the dish on the menu. The thing is, pasta with butter and cheese isn't really restaurant menu worthy, because in Italy, that dish was known as something that you'd whip up if you weren't feeling very well, just kind of like a comfort food. And it was usually just called fettuccine al burro, or fettuccine with butter. It wasn't new, it wasn't inventive, and it had probably been made in most Italian households at least since the Middle Ages. In fact, a recipe for basically this dish appears in Maestro Martino's 15th century Libro de Arte Culinaria. And his recipe is for long, thin strips of pasta mixed with cheese and butter, and the only real difference is that he would put sweet spices on it, like sugar and nutmeg and cinnamon, because it was the Italian Renaissance and they put that stuff on absolutely everything. The other difference was the name, because in Maestro Martino's time, fettuccine, the term, had not come into use, and so instead it's called macaroni romaneschi, or Roman macaroni. But even by the 20th century, by Alfredo's time, the term macaroni was still sometimes used just to refer to any pasta at all that was long and thin. But even with the name change to fettuccine, the dish that Alfredo made his sick wife is still pretty much the same dish that people had been making for centuries. So if Alfredo's pasta was not inventive or unique, why was it such a big deal? Well, the answer is Alfredo himself, because when you went to his restaurant, you weren't just getting served a bowl of pasta. You were getting a show starring Alfredo. The waiters shout, "Alfredo is coming!" The room goes dark. The king comes dancing under a spotlight's beam. Gold fork and spoon serve as his scepter. "I am king of the fettuccine," and every waiter in the dining room stands at attention. Now that is a description of Alfredo's performance in 1952 after he had become a phenomenon. But even before the worldwide fame, people went to his restaurant in Rome for those noodles. His noodles were famous, especially with tourists. In Sinclair Lewis's 1922 novel Babbitt, a character planning a trip to Rome is asked if while she's there she's going to attend concerts and enjoy the art and culture and music that Rome has to offer. And she says, "No. What I really go for is there's a little trattoria on the Via della Scrofa where you get the best fettuccine in the world."
On YouTube.
And when two of the greatest film stars of the 1920s, Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks, visited Rome for their belated honeymoon, they dined at Alfredo's and fell in love with the pasta so much that it said that they went back every single day of their time in Rome. And when it was finally time for them to leave the city, they gifted Alfredo a pair of golden utensils, a fork and a spoon engraved with "To Alfredo, the king of the noodles," July 1927. There's a story that during World War II, people would give up their gold to the government to help pay for the war effort. And should you not do so voluntarily, then Mussolini would send the Carabinieri, or the National Police, to come get it from you. Well, the coppers eventually got around to Mr. Alfredo. "The fettuccine fork and spoon, if you please," they said. Alfredo wept. He pleaded. He got on his knees and swore it would ruin the tourist trade. The Carabinieri gave him a couple of licks to teach him patriotism. They took the fork and spoon. Next day, however, they came back. They handed him the fork and spoon. "Thanks to God," cried Alfredo, "Roman culture is saved." "Keep it," said the cops. "Gold plate." Alfredo, of course, never accepted the fact that they were just gold plate and always insisted that they were indeed pure gold. Now, with the approval of Hollywood royalty, it was time that Alfredo got the approval of his own government. And in 1927, he was knighted for his fettuccine. And afterwards, on the restaurant menus, it said, "Alfredo, Cavaliere delle Fettuccine." Alfredo, Knight of the Fettuccine. And foreign newspapers wrote that indeed, the two most discussed byproducts of modern Italian are fascismo and fettuccine. Quite the pair. But it was the fascismo and not the fettuccine that dragged Italy into World War II, which unsurprisingly devastated the tourism trade and made it very difficult to get good quality ingredients for the pasta. And so in 1943, Alfredo decided to hand in his golden spoon and golden fork and retire. And he left the restaurant in the care of his son Armando. And then just a few years later, in 1946, they decided to sell it all together to two of their employees. So that's the end of Alfredo's story, right? No. Because, as I said, Alfredo was a showman. And the restaurant was his stage, and he craved that limelight. And so in 1950, when Italy's tourism trade came roaring back, he decided to open a new restaurant. But he couldn't just name it Alfredo because that was already taken by the restaurant that he had once owned and sold to his employees. And there were a lot of other Alfredo restaurants that had popped up because they were trying to cash in on his name. So
Oh, boy.
instead, he named it Il Vero Alfredo, the true Alfredo. And it was sort of a shady move because it was only a 7-minute walk from that original restaurant he owned, which was still selling the pasta that he had made famous, and now he's doing the same thing
Oh, dear.
7 minutes away. But the thing is, people came to that new restaurant because they weren't just going for the pasta, they were going for Alfredo. You went to the restaurant to see how he prepared the pasta, and it kind of reminds me how people would go to Caesar's in Tijuana just to see how Caesar himself would make his famous salad. And I did a whole video on that, so if you haven't seen that, I'll make that pop up after this one, and I'll put a link in the description. But suffice it to say, the owners of that original Alfredo's restaurant were none too happy with the new Alfredo's restaurant, and it kind of started a feud that, according to many, still is going on to this very day. And in 1952, a newspaper talked about Alfredo's reaction to being questioned whether the true pasta, the true fettuccine Alfredo, was at that original restaurant or if it was at his new restaurant. His mustachio vibrates with indignation. He shows you a calloused spot on his right palm. That is caused by the spoon. A callus on his upper third finger, left hand. That is the mark of the fork. Scars earned by tossing the noodles 47 years long. Fortunately, both restaurants have been able to cash in both on the pasta and on the name and are still in business today, owned by the same families who owned them in the 1950s. What's interesting, though, is that the name Fettuccine Alfredo, while it took off worldwide, never took off in Italy, at least not outside of Rome, because most of Italy still calls it Fettuccine al burro, or, my favorite, pasta dei cornuti, or cuckold's pasta. See, the story goes that a woman was having multiple affairs and would be with all of her lovers all day, so that when she got home, she didn't have any time left to make him a big meal. So she would just boil some pasta and throw on some butter and some Parmesan cheese, which is exactly what I'm about to do right now. So add a little salt to your boiling water and then add in your pasta. Now, if it's fresh pasta, it might take 1 to 3 minutes to cook, depending on how thin you were able to get your pasta. Mine took about 90 seconds, but if it's dried pasta, then it can take up to 10 minutes. Alfredo does say that this pasta should be al dente, so don't overcook it. As soon as it's cooked, pull it straight from the pot into the dish with the butter, then sprinkle it with about 1/3 of the Parmesan cheese and start tossing it, coating the noodles with the butter as it melts. This is really the trick to getting a creamy sauce without using any cream, and a 1937 article describes how Alfredo himself did it, and it was with a flair. In serving fettuccine, Alfredo's goes in for as much style as a Hollywood opening. A waiter comes solemnly up to your table carrying a steaming bowl of cooked noodles, like a high priest with a special offering. Then arrives Alfredo himself with a dish of freshly grated Parmesan cheese and a plate of unsalted butter. With reverential grace, the spoon in his right hand, the fork in his left, he mixes and remixes the cheese and butter through the noodles, tossing them up in higher and higher loops every twist. People said it was like watching a great dancer or a juggler with noodles, and it is known that he used his golden spoon and fork, yet in so many pictures he's shown manhandling the pasta with his hands.
Like a
Yummy.
pork loin thing.
Regardless,
Nice,
I do not
nice.
have his technique, so I am keeping it low and
Marinade?
in the bowl. As you continue to toss it, add in a bit more cheese as well as some of the pasta water to help thicken it up. The starch from the pasta in the water is what's going to give this a sauce-like texture. And as the article says, 2 minutes of mixing and the platters are served. Add a little more Parmesan and a crack of black pepper, and here we are. The original fettuccine all'Alfredo. I can tell right away that this is going to be very, very different from a fettuccine Alfredo that you would typically get in an American restaurant today, because it just smells so different. Really, the smell that I'm getting is the Parmesan. I mean, there's a lot in here, so I'm guessing it's going to taste like it as well. But here we go. It's so simple, but that's so delicious. And the pasta is done perfectly. You want a little bit of a bite to it. You want it al dente. But really, At first, you just
I
get
love
butter.
Alfredo.
It's like this creaminess. It is like a creamy sauce, even though there's no cream in it. And then you get hit by the cheese. And that, if you don't like Parmesan cheese, you're not going to like this. It is
valid.
It is so cheese forward that I could see maybe backing it off a little bit if you wanted to, but that is supposed to be kind of the dominant flavor, and I'm fine with it because I love cheese. This is excellent. Now, like I said, even if you don't want to make your own noodles from scratch, you can make this pasta using dried noodles, and it's going to take you like 5 minutes to do the entire dish. So there's really little excuse not to do it unless you don't like cheese, and then make something else. But if you like cheese, make this version of fettuccine Alfredo, and I will see you next time on Tasting History. I'm going to eat this whole bowl.
Not much. You just missed a lesson on the original fettuccine Alfredo. Nothing crazy. It's alright. Alright, though. I'll be right back. I need to go refill my water again. Y'all behave yourselves. Or don't. It's up to you, really. I am unfortunately lactose intolerant. It's okay. Lactose intolerance still doesn't stop people from eating ice cream. Well, I know. Maybe I am radioactive. You don't know that. Green? I don't think I can do green. I don't think. Hold on. No, that's not what I want. I need this one. And this. Green is not an option. Oh, blue might mess with minnow screen? You're right. You're right. I can turn blue too. No, I'm a hologram. Get it right. This is a hologram. No. I have way too much power with this program. I have too much power. They tried to nerf me. Okay. That's enough of that. It's a ghost, Raggy, a ghost. Alright. I'll stop playing I'll turn purple again. Yeah, like... This program's been so much fun. The new software. Like, I love it so much. Although it's ass for recording, though. Absolute ass for recordings. What else do we have here? I'm gonna load up more videos here in a moment. So we still got the weather reacts, which, if I'm being entirely honest, I don't think I have storm reacts in me right now. So I might have to do those offline for an actual separate video. Because those things can be kinda heavy. So, let me just get back in Discord here. So we can get the big list. Just did this. Crusader Kings? Okay. I'll grab that one.
Today I...
No, you are not allowed to start without me. That's not allowed. Especially when I'm not on the right screen. So, we have here, we have the, My wife won't stop cheating on me is what the video's called. We're gonna be in for a treat, I already feel this. Oh man, let me get my thing back up here so I can see this. It's so muddy outside, I'm sorry. It looks like it's gonna rain here today, but I'm not sure if it actually is going to or not. Did we ever watch the Bear Grylls Man vs. Woman? What? I have never heard of that before, and I am concerned. Confused, but concerned.
I'm going to attempt the least asked for speedrun in the history of speedrunning. A Crusader Kings free 100 development speedrun. The goal is simple. Turn a pathetic peasant-infested county into a wealthy metropolis of opulence and tea. The rules today are that any gameplay mechanics can be used and abused, but I must play in Iron Man mode, meaning no mods, cheats, and console commands. This is the developer-approved, perfectly balanced way of playing the game. But naturally, come on. I'm British and a video game exploiter, so you can be sure that I'll be unveiling all of the cheesiest ways to play the game, some of which have never been revealed until today. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the game. We are of course playing as the legendary Amir Elon Husk. He is a husk of a human being, and of course, according to the game's character creation system, a perfectly normal and acceptable being to exist in this period of history. We used 399 points in the character creator out of the maximum 400 in order to make this person while staying within the Iron Man thresholds. So he's actually an achievable human being. We all could be a mastermind for...
Oh yeah, It is a touch loud. Yeah, I was getting to just that here in the thing. Because a lot of videos don't usually have good sound, so just gonna turn that down a smidgen. But yeah, like if it does get like unstable, please do freaking tell me, please. And I mean that on both sides, Twitch, YouTube. Because like I said, we're running a different program, so I don't feel like it's been stable like the entire time so far. But yeah. If it does start getting unstable, I do want to know.
Philosopher who's intelligent and a lunatic. Now, we're also starting out in Spain, but as part of our speedrun, the city of Toledo is good, but this city down here is even better, and we are going to be stealing it and turning it into a money-making wonderland. But first, we start on the 15th of September, 1066, and our goal is to have a 100 development county as fast as possible. The fewer years we can achieve this in, the better. Now, it's time to show off, of course, exploit number 1, and exploit number 1 was actually done before I even got into the game. As you see, exploit number 1 is the process of making other custom characters, because the way the game calculates whether your Iron Man custom character is acceptable in the game is if they're the character you select and actually play as going into the game, which means you can actually add characters that are well above the game's allowed character creation limits into the game, and they'll just exist in your universe. For example, we have my potential wife over here that I've created. Allow me to introduce you to Waifu. Waifu is an absolutely giga being. She's 18, she follows our religion, she's a mastermind philosopher, she has so many positive traits and so many glorious inheritable traits that she'll probably live well into the hundreds, and her children will be horrifically overpowered. So naturally, we're going to marry her. But next up, we also have my council, and you'll notice there's some very special things about my council, as I decided to custom make all of my vassals, and I made them specialize in individual specific things. For example, I have a vassal over here who has 100 martial, and to make sure he doesn't rebel, I've made him trusting, content, and patient. In fact, all of my vassals have these lovely abilities as well, meaning they are much less likely to actually rebel against their liege. So despite the fact that we're of different cultures, they're more than happy to have me on the throne. And naturally, I've got someone for every task we have. So we have a spy master, we have our steward, and we're also going to have ourselves a lovely theologian. Here they are, bam, they're fantastic. And with this, we have a council of entirely 100 statted individuals who hopefully are so content they are never going to rebel against us. Now, this already is very useful. For example, we get 50% tax from our lovely amazing steward here. Our theologian dude is going to give us 5 piety per month and has the ability to convert counties at ridiculous speed. Our diplomat is going to be printing prestige out for us, but can also make it so all of my vassals fall in love with me. My steward has the ability to promote so much cultural acceptance that even those of not my culture are going to love me. My spy master is going to make it physically impossible to murder me, and my lovely marshal is going to build the grandest army the world has ever seen. Meanwhile, Elon Husk here is going to naturally be a bottom feeder who will just simply leech off of others' creations. Next up, we need to pick a learning school, and naturally we're going to go for scholarship focus because it gives us plus 15% development, and we're going to do our best to basically pursue ourselves down the line of the scholar, because eventually we can get ourselves the scholar trait, and in doing so we'll get an extra plus 15% development, which is plus 30% development in total, and then we also get another plus 20% from this, but most importantly we get learn on the job, which gives us 20% of all of our counselors' primary skills, which is, you know, that's pretty good. That's basically plus 20 in every stat. And these counselors ain't gonna die. They've all been given amazing bonuses to make sure they last as long as possible. So we need to reach 100 development as fast as possible. Our capital has 17 development. That's okay, but it's not great. So instead, we're not going to go for our capital. We're aiming for someone else's capital. We're going to steal the county of Cordoba. This place is fantastic. It has the Great Mosque, and this Great Mosque is going to yeet our development into the skies, but most importantly, it's a farmland, it's got 2 cities, and it's going to facilitate some very glorious exploits. So I'm going to wait for my wedding to actually happen, and then we're going to march into Cordoba. But immediately our army is ready to fight thanks to our glorious battle marshal, so we're going to declare war, aim for the county of Cordoba, raise up all of our armies, and just literally march straight on in. But our actual general, who is leading our battles, he's an absolute machine. The dude is just so fast. So we're going to chase down the pathetic enemy army of just 2,000 men. They have no way of winning, no matter the terrain. Just quite simply, we are fast faster and better. It doesn't even matter that they're in hills, we just have a plus 89 advantage, meaning we get an extra 200% damage. This is just insane. But remember, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this is all Iron Man, this is all developer approved. So bam, that's the first battle done, and because of our amazing commander skill, we just captured the enemy dude. So we're just going to immediately end the war and enjoy the fact that we now have Cordoba under our control. Now, Cordoba, we're immediately going to make our capital because it's a great bit of terrain. I love it. But most importantly, we have the Great Mosque. Next up, we're actually also going to convert Cordoba into our own culture. And our culture is not the local culture. The local culture is, of course, Andalusian. We are not Andalusian or Castilian. We are with the Dutch. And now, you might be thinking, hang on a second, Spiff. The Dutch don't exist in Spain. And heck, maybe you're a conspiracy theorist, and to you, the Dutch don't exist at all. I mean, I've never seen them, so they're probably not even real. But anyway, they exist in this fantasy game, in this weird swamp region over here, and we're going to be playing as the Dutch, because the Dutch are kind of absolute kings when it comes to development. Number one, they're agrarian, which means they get plus 30% development growth in farmlands. They're bureaucratic, which means they get a further plus 15% development growth. They believe in parachileism, or whatever it's pronounced, and this gives you even more development growth. So naturally, being Dutch just generally is great, which is something I'd never actually thought I'd have to say. But anyway, Cordoba is now our lovely capital, and it's actually a pretty decent location. However, it could be better, and by better I mean completely and utterly broken, which is naturally what I need to do with it. Meanwhile, my lovely wife, because she's actually on the council as the High Chiefess, we can have her give us some bonuses. For example, we can just have her turn us into a literal god in one stat. By having her focus on patronage, we suddenly get 75 learning, which is that's pretty good. If we want prestige, we can have her focus on court politics. This gives us a giant plus 54% prestige, and also just plus 54 general opinion. Everyone now loves us. But instead, we're going to set her to just assist rule. It just gives us a flat plus 20 across the board, and turns us from being an 18-year-old noodle into what is effectively an 18-year-old god, and we're looking great. Now, many of you might be thinking, what are you even doing in Spain? And the reason is because if you just start in Spain, you can actually pick up a legacy, and one of the legacies is in the metropolitan line, and it is influential cities. Each city grants plus 20% development to its county. Now, that means if you have a county with 2 cities, which guess what we do, it's our capital, that's an extra plus 40% development, which is just actually absurd. It is absolutely crazy. Right, I'm going to also usurp the lovely dukedom of Kurtabar, which is going to give us 2 duke titles, meaning all we need to do is save up some money and we can actually become a glorious king. Being a king is great, you get your own little royal court, and who doesn't want one of those bad boys? Oh great, I'm ill, this is very annoying, we could straight up die here, just like, you know, 1 year into run, but luckily for me and my wife is my glorious vision, and luckily
and before she kills you,
of what she does. So I'm just gonna say, hey, do more than what is necessary. She'll do great because she's excellent, and that means I get reduced disease symptoms, which basically means I feel completely fine. Don't even feel ill. I'm just normal health. Oh great, I'm well again. And I mean, you know, I look in tip-top healthy physical shape. Elon Husk here has never looked better. I mean, he's a husk of a being, but you know, he's alive at least, and that's all that matters. Anyway, Cordoba is almost fully under our control, and the people here love us because of our glorious martial guidance. There we go, we've achieved maximum control in the city of Cordoba, which is absolutely wonderful. Oh, fantastic. My waifu is pregnant, which is wonderful. But also, I've become a wise man. Yes, lovely. All right, and we finally control enough land that we can actually create the Kingdom of Andalusia. We've done this really quickly in the game, but hey, it's necessary because becoming a king as soon as possible is great. It means we can generate renown faster, and that is very important indeed. So we'll get all of our lovely house banners up on the wall. We can alter our court grandeur. We're naturally going to be an administrative court. This is great. It means we can build buildings cheaper and faster. But most importantly, if we can achieve a level 7, we get an extra plus 0.2 development a month. Now, in order to achieve that, we're going to have to actually spend money. And, you know, I don't like spending money, but it's okay. For just 3 gold and 20 a month, we can max out everything. And sadly, that's what we have to do. So, bam, we now have the greatest court in the entirety of the world, and Cordoba is now Dutch. Fantastic. This is great. These farmlands are going to be giving us so much extra development. Now, we're getting a whole bunch of modifiers here, but this isn't even the end of all of the modifiers we're going to be getting. Now, with all of these modifiers in place, we're getting an extra 130% development, which is absolutely fantastic. However, we can improve this. Oh yes, we can improve this. So we're going to actually start increasing the development of this region. The more development we have, the better. better. The more money we're going to make. And oh look, my child is born. And my wife wants to name him Elon after me. You know what? He looks great. A lovely idea. Elon it is. Look, here's my boy. He's an absolute genius. He is everything I wish I could be but more. He's not a lunatic, sad. But you know, he'll do. Have him educated by my wife because she's just objectively better at everything than me. So, wabam. Son, you're great. You're Dutch. Live a great life. Oh, and I have a daughter born. She looks great. I'm just gonna call her Karen. Hopefully she turns out fine. It's, you know, it's a good Dutch name, Karen. She'll be okay. Oh, great. Another child's been born. She's great. She's amazing. The only issue is, she's born by Mr. Fightman here, and Mr. Fightman here does not have a wife, which means he's a fornicator, which is. Look, you were meant to not have that situation going on, but that's fine. Is punishment become my religion, okay? There you go. It'll make you like me more. So my wife has made a concoction here. Apparently it's just the strongest potion in existence. You know, there's like 90% chance I get a medium health boost for 5 years, so you know what? I'm gonna take it. There was a 0% chance I could die, but amazingly I didn't. It was great, and it did cause me to have a mental breakdown, but I do get to become athletic in the process, and that's extra health for the long run.
What a
and
punishment.
sorry, plus 20% development in farmlands? What? Sorry, how does being athletic give me an extra 20% development? Fine, this speedrun is just gonna go even better. This is actually fantastic. Amazing. Oh my goodness. Right, there we go. We are 4 years in and already our capital is at 29 development. This is good progress. Really good progress indeed. I've got a child. There we go. And a new daughter. You can be called Creggle. Wait, Cregler. Yep, Cregler. You are great. Cregler Husk. It's a strong name. Strong name indeed. Right, and I've realized a great idea we could actually do is just make a hybrid culture between Dutch and Andalusian, and this way we'd be able to have our own society, our own glorious culture, where we don't have to listen to Duke Dirk Floriszoon of Holland. Like, that's just the most Dutch individual in the universe. Duke Dirk the Fifth Floriszoon. Like, sorry, are you just a Disney villain? Like, what the hell is that name? Right, now I'm going to do what can only be described as a pro-gamer move, and it also is going to make no logical sense to someone on the outside. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this crop field here, because I would like, you know, some more money. So I'm going to naturally get rid of something that makes me money in order to make more money. We're going to build just some military camps right here and get rid of this field. It's a bit crazy that we'd get rid of something that is giving us 0.5 gold a month, but don't worry, there is actual sense to this madness. Because you see, we're actually going to build the farms and fields again. One of the very important rules of Crusader Kings 3 is you can only have one building of each type in a holding, and that's just the way it's been forever. No one knows why, but those are the rules. I mean, of course we all know why. It's because otherwise the game's balance would be destroyed. Luckily though for me, I love destroying balance, and so naturally we're going to build ourselves a second farm and field. The way we do it is by building a farms and fields in an empty or taken slot in one of our terrains, then select another building you're happy to get rid of, and get ready to select farms and fields. We have to wait for this farms and fields to finish constructing in just 1 day's time. It happens, and now we can build ourselves another farms and fields, despite the fact that we already have one. And after 4 months, we're going to have ourselves 2 lovely farms and fields, which is going to, of course, make us a lot more money. More money, of course, equaling more power and more success. Right, Cordoba is about to be up to, 33 development, so we're 1/3 of the way through our lovely challenge. It has only been 7 years, so we're actually off to a cracking start. How can I ask my wife to stop having a lover? Like, can I just tell her to just chill for a bit and just stop messing about with my smart man, please? I'm going to try and murder the Dutch man. Hopefully this will fragment his lands so that he owns less Dutch provinces than me. So, bam, we're going to try and kill him. He lives across the world from us, but we are going to murder him. Most importantly, we get our first renown perk, and we're going to go for Metropolitan. Metropolitan is amazing. Plus 20% development in each county that has cities per each city that we have. Meaning, now in Cordoba, we get an extra plus 20% from each of these cities. Look at this. Look at this. Each city gives plus 30% development. Let us just work out for the moment what that modifier is at, because this modifier, it's getting spicy. Okay, currently we are receiving plus 312% to our development growth per month, which that's pretty good. I will take that. That is really, really good actually. So yep, I will keep that bad boy. We are going to do very nicely with. Actually, I'll try holding court because we might get a fun development event. I could accept him as a vassal, but I'm just going to say I think not. This gives me some court grandeur, which is great. Amazing. Okay, fantastic. We now get our next perk, which is learn on the job. This is plus 20% of our counselor's primary skills are added to our own, which takes us up into becoming a god. We are looking really, really good indeed. Yep, we are becoming a glorious little king. All right, is there anything I can do to invite people into murdering the Dutch dude? Yes, they will. Okay, I'll get his bishop on side. His bishop can help me murder him. One of my courtiers, who appears to just be in his court, can just use a hook, and he will have to come help and murder this individual. We go now. The scheme's looking good. 95% chance of success. We're going to kill the Dutch. When that happens, we might then become the leader of the Dutch peoples. And there we go. We convince the peasants of Amsterdam to rise up against the Duke himself, and we will murder him. Yes, he died. And there we go. We murdered him with the power of mob rule. Okay, now one of his children is in charge of the Dutch lands. They themselves are Dutch. That's fine. She is still the leader of the Dutch peoples, but that's okay because we can just also have her murdered. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm also gonna stop questioning the fact that my daughter doesn't even look like me. I'll just leave it be. It's fine. Oh my goodness, I just got an event fire twice, which has given me 2 free learning perks. It turns out there's just an event which evidently the developers accidentally left in, where if you go for a night at the theatre and you win, you just get to have even more free traits, which is lovely. I'm now going to effectively turn myself into a god by just becoming whole of body. But most importantly, we're now a scholar, and being a scholar means we get extra development growth, which is another plus 15% over here in Cordoba, meaning Cordoba, even by itself, without our lovely, amazing steward over here, is actually gaining a decent amount of monthly development. Oh, and amazing, we get to actually murder the Duchess. There we go, we're going to go and do it. 5% chance. And oh my goodness, we failed. A 5% chance. She is now on her guard, but it doesn't matter. If at first you don't succeed, do it again. Do it again. We're going to murder this Duchess one way or another. Every single Dutch person who has the potential to rule over Dutch lands must die. Oh, and my daughter, who is definitely not my daughter, is born. She's just gonna be called Flop. You know, she's a child, but she's a flop. Okay, now waifu has another child on the way, and so I just decided to ask her, is the child mine? And she says, of course it is. So you know, that's all I needed to hear. I believe her. She's died to me in the past. Anyway, we're gonna kill the Duchess. She is gonna get murdered in the woods. There we go. And wabam, she's dead. So wabam, we now have a new leader of the Dutch. They are a child, but most importantly, they are Franconian, which means they're no longer the head of the actual Dutch world because they are not themselves Dutch. The new head of the Dutch world is this weird bishop dude. He controls 3 Dutch territories, so let's just have him murdered. Why not? He'll probably get replaced by some other dude. We're about to gain control of 3 Dutch territories. There we go. We now have 3 Dutch places. This is absolutely fantastic. But most importantly, soon we will become the head of the Dutch world as soon as we murder the current head of the Dutch world. Oh my goodness, we got a new daughter, and she is amazing, which means she can't be ours. I'm just gonna call her Kromper. I'm full of like really great child names. Like we've got Elon, and then we've got Karen, and then we've got Kregler, Cecily, Gerulf, not my child, Yagana, Flop, Clementina, and then Kromper. I'm just the best dad the world could ever wish for. And I can turn my wife into my friend. Instead of having an interesting conversation with my wife, I can just friend zone her. Perfect. There we go. Hopefully that will stop her being so horrible to me. Please, waifu. Anyway, glorious feast was had by all. Oh, and I am the new cultural head of the Dutch. Yes. Oh, this is fantastic. I have 77 learning. I'm the head of the Dutch, and this means we can do some important improvements. Improvement number 1, manneralism. We need to get manneralism done as soon as possible. This unlocks late medieval economic buildings, which for us means we can build ourselves the royal reserves. Someone is tampering with my sculpture growth. Who's this? Someone is tampering with the sculpture that's dedicated to my wife, and it's my wife. God damn it. Waifu, please. Like, I'm just trying to make a sculpture for you. Why are you trying to destroy it? Oh my goodness. Right, Sultana waifu, you're getting arrested. Like, she is just such a handful. She's just straight up an absolute nightmare. But hey, we get the sturdy statue. We can whack this bad boy down. It's an extra bit of renown, and that is honestly fantastic. Anyway, we're up to 36 development now in Cordoba, which is very, very nice. In literally just a handful of months, we're going to be up to 37. Like, we are developing at an absolutely terrifying rate. If we switch over to the development map mode and zoom out, you can see that we have Cordoba, which is probably the most development province in the world. Yeah, I think it is. All right, 37 development in Cordoba, looking great. And naturally, I've discovered the Kromper is not my child. It was always going to be known. Kromper was never mine. He's, like, half my children aren't my own children. Like, it's fine. Oh, do I want to know whether my son is actually my son? I mean, I can't doubt whether he's my son because he's just such a good character. I can't. He has to be mine. I just need him to. I could, so I can actually embrace celibacy now, but I realize that in doing so, people are going to really start questioning when my wife just suddenly starts having more children. Oh, and we've headed into a new cultural era. We are in the high medieval era now. This is really, really good. So we can pick up windmills and banking and urbanization. Lovely. Most importantly, though, the windmills. We love windmills. Okay, now one of my secondary wives is basically saying that I'm a spineless man and I neglect everything but my studies and I just read alone indoors from dusk till dawn and I need to get my head out of the dusty scrolls and basically just get a life. But naturally, I'm Elon Husk. I'm a Redditor. I need not lay with you. I have the warm embrace of knowledge. Yes. Gain focused reading. Ah, yes. 5,000 IQ play. Who needs love when you can have books? Elon Husk, you are such a smart individual. There is just absolutely nothing you can't do. Oh my goodness, one of my wives has done an amazing thing. This is one of the adventures of having multiple wives. I've come up with the idea of war widows, which basically means I can spend 115 gold. We get nursing salaries, which means we get plus 10% development growth for just 10 years. That's right. That's an extra plus 10% whacked on into this giant mess, which just keeps going up. We're up to 42 development here. It is looking really, really good. We are making a very tasty amount of money from this region. So apparently I'm having a grand old feast with a friend, my wife, who is of course continuously betraying me. But it's okay. We have a reinvigorated friendship and it's apparently going to be a giant health boost. Like, my health is insane. I just can't die. Right, we're up to 44 development in Cordoba, which is lovely. Most importantly, we are working on our way through the technological trees of being Dutch. That's right, we will soon have the ability to build windmills. This is, of course, every Dutch person's dream, to build a windmill. All right, and we're finally ready on the 4th of November 1087 to actually adopt collective lands. This is going to take 19 years to actually take effect, but eventually we're going to be able to have an extra plus 20% development in all Dutch provinces. So naturally we're going to start reforming it because, you know, we're just such a glorious cultural icon. Meanwhile, oh, we've got a bit of regalia. This actually sucks. Fine, we have some new regalia. It makes our spouse like us a bit more, but let's be real. The problem with our spouse is not whether she likes us or not. It's a whole bunch of other things going on behind the scenes. Like, this is not my child. Oh god, he's not my son. Oh, and okay, we've run into an incident. Namely, because we're a lunatic, and we're a lunatic for a good reason, because there's a chance we get a really positive event firing, we've decided that cloves are now forbidden. Off they go. This is also going to affect everyone in the court. So... Damn it. I'm so sorry, editors. You're going to have a challenge editing this from here on out. But from this point onwards, every adult court here, they've got their sausages out. If we go to the courtroom, it's a real problem. Oh dear, Let's just...
Yeah, I believe it.
Oh dear. Oh my goodness. Oh, these events are all going to be messed up. Oh, and amazing. We've actually managed to pick up our innovation of manneralism. This is actually really, really good indeed. This now allows us to focus on the building of windmills, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. We are Dutch. We are going to get windmills up and running. But more importantly, we can upgrade these manor houses in our capital to make them give us plus 2% development growth each. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build as many of these lovely farms as possible. Right, I've finally reached the stewardship level where I can pick up centralization, which is an extra plus 0.3 development in our capital per month, but that's actually 0.3 after it gets hit by all of the modifiers, which is really, really big, because it means the monthly growth in our capital is up to 12.9 per month. Now, the existing development is also actually negatively affecting us, which is annoying as this will slow us down, but in order to counteract it, I've decided that we're going to start beelining towards urbanization as fast as possible. possible. And in doing so, we'll be able to hopefully knock on the head that very annoying cap of existing development, making it much faster for us to hit our max level. Also, now I can finally build the Royal Reserves here as well. This is going to give us plus 0.8 gold per month, as well as an extra plus 10% development. Also, lots of the nearby local rulers keep challenging me to chess, but I mean, like, you think you can outthink me? I've read the entire manuals on chess, and naturally I just win because, I mean, come on, like, I'm such a galaxy-brained individual. Do you think you
But
can
you're
really
also a
stop me?
lunatic.
And there we go, the Royal Forests are built, so that's a further plus 10% added onto our lovely capital here. We'll then also upgrade these manors to get another little plus 2%, and our capital is actually making us a lot of money. It's up to making us 24 gold a month, which is, as you can imagine, pretty darn good. Now, some of my other
damn.
daughters are definitely a little bit of a problem because, you know, the wives generally, they've been quite unfaithful. So whether they're actually my daughters is kind of up in the air. But this child is definitely my daughter. I can tell because those are the lips of someone who's definitely a husk. You are 100% a husk. Of course you're my daughter. And now the Husk dynasty is known far and wide. We're noteworthy. Amazing. It means people are more likely to, you know, respect the name of the Husk. I mean, hey, we hold the most developed land in the entire world. Look at this. Look at Cordoba. It's great. The rest of the world, untamed wildlands with no development whatsoever. And then there's just Cordoba, the beacon of economic fortitude. The only problem is that we're actually feeding into the local counties and really increasing their development by a very large amount. Now, in some previous versions of the game, there was an exploit to get to 100 development, but it actually wasn't as fast as some people made it out to be. Basically, if you were over here in Bohemia, you could play as a Czech character, and a Czech character has one very special bonus. This industrious thing here, which is whenever you complete a building, you get 25 development growth. So if you build 4 buildings, you get 1 total development. That's kind of okay, but of course really expensive and just not very effective. But some people used it to try and get to 100 development as fast as they could. However, you know, we're not doing that. We're being ever so slightly cheeky with ours. Oh, and one of my wives has died, and apparently I'm happy about this. Yep, she's dead. I love the fact that she's dead. I lost stress. Apparently I really hated her, but hey, that's fine, you know. There's more fish in the sea. Right, now we've managed to get the guilds level 3 up over here in this lovely city, and in fact I think we can even get up to guilds level 4, which is really good. That's another plus 5% development, so that's what we're going to do. Really want to know what kind of modifiers we're getting up to, because it is getting really insane. I'm kind of sad we haven't had the lunatic event fire where we get to build a greenhouse. It's literally one of the strongest buildings in the game. It's a flat plus 1 gold and plus 25% development growth, and it also gives you some extra health, meaning you live longer. Oh my goodness, and now the crusades have started in 1095. Okay, the Pope is ready for crusades. Hopefully they don't come over and say hi to us, because I mean, we are ready to bounce off pretty much any crusade in the slightest. But you know, I just prefer not to have to deal with one. I mean, if needs be, I'll come over and kick the Pope out of Rome. He's only a frail little 54-year-old dude who just happens to have a six-pack. I'm sure he'll be easy, an absolute pushover. Barely an inconvenience. Can finally hold court. Lovely, let's hold court. Gesture the first in line to approach. Here we go. Oh yes, we get to spend 500 gold, and potentially that will increase development. The only issue is it's being done by Robert, who famously bonked one of my second wives and is probably the owner of one of my children. And by owner, I mean father, of course. That's just kind of how it works. But hey, Robert, if you want to help me develop lands and speedrun, I don't care who you've been bonking. Speaking of which, here's one of our grandsons, Bonko. There you go. Bonko, not my child soon. Wait, no. Someone took over my role as head of the Dutch? No, he controls 4 Dutch lands. Murder. We must murder this man. How dare you control more Dutch territories than I. And lovely, that map survey has come through, and all of our held counties get an extra 50 into their development progress, which is great. That's just, you know, little bit of speed up for Cordoba here. Maybe just a handful of months of development whittled away for 500 gold. That's probably worthwhile. And besides, I paid all of that money to Robert, and remember, he bonked one of my wives, which means I can actually imprison him straight away and then negotiate his release by banishing him and getting all of the money back. Perfectly balanced. He will of course accept this, and then I will just immediately invite him back to my court now that he has no money, and recruit him as my seneschal again. Right, things are going great. We're up to 60 development now in our capital, and the modifiers are definitely stacking up. Okay, I found the fastest way to actually deal with the fact that the Dutch had more lands than me, and so consequently I couldn't be the head of our culture. That was just to actually quite simply raise up my own army over here, and we're just going to go over and steal Holland from the Dutch. And Holland is, you know, it's a fine province, 11 development. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but by holding it, we will become the undisputed head of the culture. Well, bam, lovely, we've arrived. We've even captured one of the heirs of the region. Oh my goodness, they're just going to keep marching armies into us to be murdered. Come on, we're the glorious fight men. You cannot defeat us. All right, and now is the time for us to gloriously gain peace with the Dutch. Now that we have stolen Holland from them, we are now the king of more Dutch people. Holland is ours. We are now the Dutch head of culture, meaning we are going to progress much further down our lovely technological progression. We are just so smart and unstoppable. Okay, apparently I've messed up the Dutch so much that we now have a splinter Dutch culture called the Galrian. So that's a new culture that's existed. Great. I'm also going to stack up all the modifiers in Cordoba again, just to see where we kind of clock in at. Okay, we're up to plus 285% modifiers on all of our development growth, which is really, really good. But of course, we're going to be able to improve it. And oh, we can hold court again. Please let it be more development. Okay, right. We finally managed to research the glorious bonus of collective lands, which is another plus 20% development in all of our lovely territories. And most importantly, urbanization, which means counties now reach maximum existing development penalties at 55, which effectively granting us a much faster level up time in terms of development. So as you can see, we're doing great. We're gaining 16 monthly development growth per month just from Cordoba, which is very jazzy indeed, and going to be very, very profitable for us. But yes, this city is doing great. We're up to 84 development, and we are only 43 years into the game. Things are progressing very nicely indeed. I don't think anyone ever believed that in a single lifetime you could get one territory up to maximum development, but hey, yes, I can do it. Welcome back now, 46 years into our game, we have finally had the Lunatic event fire. This event could have fired in the first year of the game, and it would have made this run oh so much faster, but alas, no, my luck with the game is about as bad as Elon Musk's marital life. But for just 750 gold, we can now build the Glass Monument, an absolutely insane building. Thanks to this, Cordoba is now getting an extra +1 in tax and 25% development growth. So with just another 11 development to go, we should be able to get there in no time at all. And after this great news, we get some more. One of my cheating wives have died. Oh, glorious, glorious day. Whilst holding court, we also get another nice little boost. A little bit of extra development, no matter how small, is always a great idea. It's going really well now. We just have 5 development to go, and our capital is producing 33 gold per month in tax, which is absolutely insane. So I've been looking at our modifiers, and it is very much broken. With just 3 development to go, our development is getting boosted by 392%. That is just completely absurd. We've created an economical stack of insanity that is turning Cordoba into a utopia. And here we have it, finally 100 development in our capital. I would first, of course, like to thank my wife for supporting me and my wife's boyfriend for helping develop my capital. It has taken us just 51 years using entirely developer-approved features and glitches to create the most developed and richest province possible in the game. And if we were to take a look at the development map mode, we can see that the entire world is a backward shantytown in comparison to Elon Musk's glorious utopia. Our capital city alone is making 4 times the entire income that the French have. That is just how absurd this strategy is. We just need one single province, and with it we could conquer the entire world. So what's next? I feel like I must do what all good Brits should do in order to have a lovely and completed life. We must invade the French! And there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the end of my glorious game of Crusader Kings 3. This has taken months to make and edit, so of course a massive thank you to each and every one of you leaving lovely and wonderful comments, and also just liking the video. It generally does make this channel all the more stronger, so thank you very much. And of course a massive thank you to each and every one of our amazing YouTube members and patrons for funding videos like this, so thank you.
That was amazing. That was so amazing. I got lucky to reach 8. Yeah, that's fair. That's so fair. Whew. That was a long one. Fifth place Crusader Kings and has no crusade. I mean, technically he did invade the French. That has to count for something. It has to count for at least a little bit. He invades the French and it's okay, but I can do it, and now we have the Geneva Conventions. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's all fine. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong there. Nothing wrong at all. I believe it counts if it's an army of cats. I believe it counts. I'll give him a quarter on Crusade. Okay, you know what? Fair. We can give him that one. We can give him a little bit of credit. But I mean, it's the French. No offense to any French that are here, if there is anybody. Alright. What do we got left? That's gonna make me hungry if I watch another food video. So... we're gonna do another file nutrition video. This one is Cassius Clay. Oh, there's a little baby in the start of this one. Aw, that's adorable. That's adorable. Most gangster politician ever, Cassius Marcellus Clay. That's a very interesting, that's a very fancy name you have there.
It's a riveting story. It was really good. All right, we gotta go. I gotta tell the internet about the guy I named you after, okay? You gotta go hang out with Mom now. Today we're talking about the most gangster politician in American history. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassius Marcellus Clay, aka the Lion of Whitehall. Whitehall being his family home that he grew up in Kentucky as the son of one of the richest slave owners in all of America. While going to college at Yale to become a lawyer, he would attend a speech from a famous abolitionist by the name of William Lloyd Garrison, and that speech would change the entire trajectory of Cassius Clay's life as well as American history. It is at that moment that Cassius Clay decided he was not...
You can't hear it? My sound got borked.
not only going to be quiet...
Let's see. Do I need to reset the source? Okay, what if we just, grab this. I'm just going to... Oh, it fixed itself? Okay. Okay. Muhammad Ali was also named after him? I see.
It's a riveting story. It was really good. All right, we gotta go. We gotta go. I gotta tell the internet about the guy I named you after, okay? You gotta go hang out with mom now. Today we're talking about the most gangster politician in American history. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassius Marcellus Clay, aka the Lion of Whitehall. Whitehall being his family home that he grew up in Kentucky as the son of one of the richest slave owners in all of America. While going to college at Yale to become a lawyer, he would attend a speech from a famous abolitionist by the name of William Lloyd Garrison, and that speech would change the entire trajectory of Cassius Clay's life as well as American history. It is at that moment that Cassius Clay decided he was not only going to be quietly opposed to slavery, but that he was actively going to fight against it. He would be set down the path to become the most influential abolitionist of all time. Oh god, forgot to do the ad. Hold on. Sorry for bothering the video. Real quick, this video is brought to you by the biggest sponsor of the channel and my favorite sporting goods store, Shields. They've got over 30 retail locations across the United States and an even better online store that I'm going to have linked down below, and if you use my code, you're going to get free shipping. They've got everything you could imagine there. This is where I got this shirt. It's where I got this backpack. All of it was on sale. It was a great deal. Again, use my code down below. You're going to get free shipping. Back to the video. Oh, wait, hold on. I forgot to mention, Muhammad Ali's original name was Cassius Clay. Yeah, he was actually named after this guy too. Anyways, back to the video. Bye-bye. If you don't know, at this point in time, there's basically two different camps you could fall into for being anti-slavery. You could be an abolitionist or an emancipationist. An emancipationist is somebody that wants to vote it out over time, over the next 5, 10, 20 years, versus an abolitionist, which is somebody that believes we need to end slavery right now, and they're willing to fight about it. And in the case of Cassius Clay, he was willing to fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. You see, Cassius Clay wasn't just some nobody punk kid that went off to college and decided that he didn't like slavery. This was the son of one of the wealthiest slave owners in all of America. So for him to come out and voice anti-slavery views was a huge deal, and it pissed off a lot of people. So, being that this was the 1820s, what do you do when you're pissed off? You challenge somebody to a duel. So needless to say, the young Cassius Clay found himself partaking in an awful lot of duels, and he never, ever lost. So, obviously, he's pretty good at it, and what do you do when you find something you're pretty good at? You want to keep doing it, right? Right. So Cassius Clay starts challenging anyone and everyone to a duel that dares to oppose him. It became common knowledge in his community that Cassius Clay would be willing to fight the wind if it blew from the west and he wanted it to blow from the east. This man went on a dueling rampage, so much so that by the time he graduated college, he was considered to be the deadliest duelist in all of North America. This guy was putting slave owners in the dirt like he was Johnny Appleseed planting fucking trees. He became known as the deadliest abolitionist of all time. So he graduates from college, goes back home as a lawyer. Shortly after that, his father passes away and leaves everything to Cassius Clay. Cassius Clay immediately frees all of his father's slaves, costing himself $40,000, which is roughly $2 million today. And then he even gives some of the slaves land and money on top of it. Absolutely infuriating the pro-slavery people in Kentucky. So what do you do when half the local population hates?
I have big respect, because even it's that, like, oh yeah, this thing's bad. I have to absolutely respect that he inherited it, and he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna, y'all can leave. I love that.
It's your guts. You run for public office, and that's exactly what Cassius Clay did. He served in the Kentucky State Legislature from 1835 to 1841, and then finally lost his re-election, to which the pro-slavery crowd breathed a huge sigh of relief because they finally defeated Cassius Clay, or so they thought. Clay immediately starts traveling the country, giving amazing anti-slavery speeches, winning over hearts and minds, and this absolutely infuriates the pro-slavery people because they don't know how to stop him. You can't legally stop a guy from talking to people that want to listen to him, and they can't legally kill Cassius Clay in a duel because he's the best duelist on earth. What do? You've got to illegally kill him. The problem with that is they can't find a hitman that's dumb enough to think that they can take out Cassius Clay, so they have to go to the one crevice of the planet where they can find somebody truly insane enough to think that they can do this job. And that man's name was Sam Brown, an assassin from New Orleans. 1834, Russell Cave, Kentucky. Cassius Clay's finishing up one of his world-famous speeches as he pulls out a burlap sack, reaches into the sack and pulls out a holy Bible and says, "For those of you that believe in the laws of God, I make to you this argument against slavery," sets the Bible on the table, reaches back in the sack, pulls out a copy of the U.S. Constitution, and says, "For those of you that believe in the laws of man, I present to you this argument against slavery," sets the Constitution down on the table, drops the burlap sack to the ground and says, "For those of you that believe in neither the laws of God or man, I make to you this argument against slavery," as he pulls out both of his pistols and sets them on the table, which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. And at this moment, Sam Brown comes up on stage and shoots Cassius Cassius Clay point blank in the chest. Luckily, Cassius Clay never leaves home without his trusted Bowie knife, which resides inside of a metal sheath. And that metal sheath would catch Sam Brown's bullet, saving Cassius Clay's life. At which point, Cassius Clay would draw his Bowie knife and charge Sam Brown. 6 of Sam Brown's friends in the audience tried to stop Cassius Clay. He would fight his way through all 6 of them, making his way to Sam Brown, promptly stabbing him in the chest, and then turning him into a Mr. Potato Head by cutting off his nose, lopping off his ear, and gouging out one of his eyes. Then the 6 men recovered and were able to peel Clay off of him. Not knowing what to do, knowing they couldn't stop Cassius Clay forever, they panicked, probably for fear that Cassius Clay was going to start shoving this guy's facial features up his ass next. They did the only thing they could come up with to get the two apart. They picked up their friend Sam Brown, threw him over a 7-foot-high stone wall. He fell down an embankment and into a creek bed to finally get Cassius Clay away from him. Somehow, Sam Brown survived, but not only was he lucky for that, he was also dumb as fuck because he then decided to take Cassius Clay to court because apparently after Cassius Clay stabbed him the first time, they were even on the whole assassination attempt thing, so Cassius Clay should go to prison for mayhem. So,
I'm sorry, buddy, but you tried to kill him. You literally fucked around and you found out. You played the stupid game and you won stupid prizes. Take the L, man. Just take the L. You fucked up. You fucked up.
Cassius Clay calls upon his older cousin, one of the best lawyers on the planet that had never lost in open court with over 40 years of experience, Henry Clay. Henry Clay goes into court and his entire defense for his cousin is, and I quote, "Your Honor, this is just standard behavior for a Kentuckian." And the judge is just like, "You're innocent. Free to go. That's it. Best court case ever." Literally walks in and just goes,
I thought this was America. Huh? Isn't this America? I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
So after Cassius Clay was found innocent, Henry Clay decides that he's going to run for president, and Cassius is going to help him campaign. Cassius is going to tour the country, giving speeches, saying, hey, you know, vote for my cousin. Here's the rule with that. Henry Clay told him he's only allowed to tour the northern states because he's actually legitimately concerned that if he sends Cassius to the south, he's going to shoot so many fucking slave owners in duels that it could be considered voter fraud. So Henry Clay ends up losing the presidential election, and Cassius moves on to his next life adventure, which is becoming an author and writing anti-slavery news articles. The problem with that was none of the newspapers were willing to publish him, so he says, fuck you, I'll start my own newspaper, The True American. Now,
boss move. This guy is such a fucking boss. I love that. I love this. Holy shit. Oh, not, oh, you don't agree with me? Okay, that's fine. Oh, you're not gonna polish my shit? Okay, I'll make my own newspaper. Fuck you. I love this.
As I'm sure you can imagine, starting an anti-slavery newspaper in fucking Kentucky in 1845 was not very popular, and his business would receive death threats pretty much every day, some of which were written in blood. So Cassius Clay, in true Cassius Clay fashion, says, fuck it, I guess we're gonna fight about it. He then proceeds to up-armor his entire business and his printing office. He covers the entire front of the office in a large iron sheet, he installs several cannons down corridors, stocks the entire thing with loaded guns, and rigs it to explode. Here's the thing, he also doesn't expect his employees to fight to the death for him, so he installs an escape hatch and instructs them to escape if anything goes down, because he's going to fight the entire mob by himself. How's he going to do that? As soon as you walk in the only door to get into that printing office, you
Can you not spam? Por favor. I'm gonna take that as a no. I don't have the thing for this. I don't. She's not worried for that. Where art thou? Oh yes, absolutely. Gangster is not good enough word. And then if I go in here and slash. Yeah. Whoops. Wrong scene. Wrong view. Where were we? There we are. Gangster as fuck. Gangster is not a strong enough comparison. It really is not a strong enough word.
Find yourself in a long, narrow corridor with iron on each side, just wide enough for a single man to get through. Cassius Clay is going to stand in that narrow corridor and fight the entire mob, one man at a time. Literally the mentality of, if you have a problem, take a number, I'll kill you in a minute. This man recreated the entire battle of fucking Thermopylae with 300 Spartans, except he's going to do it all by himself. If you think fucking with John Wick's dog is a bad idea, the last thing you want to do is fuck with Cassius Clay's printing press.
I understood that reference.
This man is determined to defend the freedom of speech with the right to bear arms at any cost. Obviously, this escalates to Cassius Clay defeating an entire mob single-handedly, right? Wrong. The mob, being full of, you know, super brave pro-slavery men that know they're doing the right thing, do the honorable brave thing and wait till Cassius Clay is bedridden with typhoid fever so they know he isn't going to show up. They show up to his business at night and burn the place to the ground because they're a bunch of fucking bitches. Now, Cassius Clay recovers from typhoid fever. He reestablishes a newspaper in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is an anti-slavery stronghold. The only problem with that is being an anti-slavery stronghold, there's not going to be any conflict, and that's fucking boring, so Cassius Clay moves on to another life adventure, volunteering in the Mexican-American War. While serving in the Mexican-American War, he would be a captain leading a group of Kentucky soldiers, and they would be captured pretty much immediately, and he would spend the duration of the entire war as a POW. While serving as a POW, some of the men under his command would escape, meaning that the Mexican military was then going to put the rest of his unit to death. Cassius Clay said, "Hey, don't kill my men. Just kill me and my other fellow officers. We're the ones in charge. It's our fault that those men escaped. It's our responsibility. Please let the lower enlisted men go home." The Mexican military was so impressed by this that they decided to spare everyone, including Cassius Clay, and he would return home a war hero. Returning home from the war in 1848, he didn't really know what to do, so he starts giving his famous speeches again, this time leveraging his newfound title as a war hero. So obviously it doesn't take long for him to piss everybody off. He faces yet another assassination attempt. This time 6 brothers from a wealthy slave-owning family show up, the Turner brothers. They show up with clubs and knives and guns, and they beat the living shit out of Cassius Clay with the clubs. They stab him multiple times. Cassius Clay whips out his trusted Bowie knife, starts opening up these brothers like they're fucking Amazon packages, making his way to the lead brother and stabbing him an excessive amount of times. We don't know how many times, but we do know it was a lifetime supply. Killing the lead brother, ending the assassination attempt, Cassius Clay would fall to the ground, nearly dead, and this would be the closest anybody ever came to actually killing Cassius Clay. When he was asked about it later on in life, all he said was, "I felt the utmost indignation," which translates to, "I was fucking annoyed." This man almost died from an assassination attempt, and he has the same attitude towards it that I have towards fucking fruit flies, okay? This dude is so metal, he deserves his own spot on the periodic table of elements. Cassius Clay then makes a full recovery from his injuries, starts giving his speeches again. 1853, he donates a large chunk of his land to John Fee, who uses it to found Berea College, the first co-educational and multiracial college in the South ever. Fast forward to 1860, Cassius Clay's giving speeches in Illinois where he meets a politician by the name of Abraham Lincoln, and they get along great. Cassius Clay is then slotted to become Abraham Lincoln's vice president. However, he's a little bit too Cassius Clay to be an actual big-name politician like that, so they give the job to Hannibal Hamlin, and Cassius Clay becomes the ambassador to Russia. 1861 rolls around, the Civil War breaks out. Cassius Clay is in Russia. Cassius Clay not only convinces Russia to not side with the Confederates, but he convinces Russia to tell Great Britain and France that if they so much as recognize the Confederacy, Russia will go to war with them. And this was a humongous step that nobody talks about in the winning of the Civil War. And it is 100% because because of Cassius Clay. Fast forward to 1862. Abraham Lincoln wants to appoint Clay a major general in the Union Army. Cassius Clay publicly refuses the President of the United States, saying that he's not going to do it until the President signs the Emancipation Proclamation freeing the slaves of the South. Cassius Clay is literally the man that bullied Abraham Lincoln into prematurely signing the Emancipation Proclamation before he wanted to. And nobody talks about it. Fast forward again to 1865, the Union wins the Great American Scrimmage, the slaves are freed. Cassius Clay has achieved his lifelong goal at the age of 55, bringing an end to slavery in the United States of America. He then goes back to Russia again to serve as ambassador until 1869, and while he is there, he helps to broker the purchase of Alaska. This man is probably the most influential person in American history that you've never heard of. After returning home from Russia, Cassius Clay would live out the rest of his days in Whitehall until the age of 80 years old, where he would be declared clinically insane, in hindsight most likely due to a severe amount of PTSD as well as potentially dementia. He didn't die from it, he lived on for quite a bit longer. He just picked up a new hobby of fucking with the local sheriff because he was crazy now. Over the course of the next decade, Clay and the sheriff would have multiple run-ins that would be concluded when the sheriff and 7 deputies were repelled from Whitehall when Clay utilized his home defense cannon that he had at the top of his stairwell. At that point, the local sheriff would inform the local judge he will not be returning to Whitehall to tangle with Cassius Clay anymore unless the judge was willing to dispatch an entire company of the local militia to accommodate him. Then in 1900, 2 men would break into Whitehall, and Cassius Clay at the age of 89 would manage to kill both of them, one by gunshot and one, yet again, with his trusted Bowie knife. Then in 1903, at the age of 92, Cassius Clay would die of natural causes, or as they called it back then, general exhaustion, which is the most gangster way on the planet to go out. Literally just, I'm tired now. Peace. And then he left.
I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now.
In conclusion, when it comes to famous historical household names, there's always another man or woman lurking behind the scenes in the shadows that's deemed too rough around the edges to be in the spotlight, yet they contribute just as much, if not more, to the movement. These men and women are willing to do horrific things for terrific reasons, and when it came to Abraham Lincoln and the abolition of slavery, that man's name was Cassius Marcellus Clay, the most gangster politician in American history. Thanks for watching the video. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out.
No, no outtake. Alright. Oh, today's been super fun. Today's been super fun, but it's been long. I do, like... I appreciate all y'all hanging out, though. Like, it means so much to me. He didn't look wild, because he looked very calm. But honestly, like, sometimes calm, those that are like really, really calm are like sometimes the most terrifying people with their tempers and whatnot. But I need to get in the right menus. I can do what I need to do now. Yeah, I'll agree with that. Definitely. I see probably one of the best of his videos I've watched so far. Like, I could say more on that, but like, there's still like a lot of his videos I have not seen yet. So, I can't say anything for like certain stuff. Get into this line here. So we can get into this box. But yeah, it's very much like a lot of like, I'm pretty sure it's a lot of temper control and stuff. But I think it's gonna be it for today, because I kicked off a lot earlier than I planned on. Appreciate all y'all hanging out. Next milestone, we'll have to do a Fat Electrician Marathon. I was supposed to do a Habitual Line Crosser, but I could not. I had a link saved with like a playlist of all of them in order, and I couldn't find it. So either when YouTube hits 3,500 or when Twitch hits 700, it's gonna be one of the two, whichever one comes first. we will do the habitual line crosser marathon. So I'm pretty sure I know where the link is. I'm pretty sure it's saved on my other computer that comes to me to work. Of course, I always love hanging out with all y'all. Y'all make my days off so much better and amazing. You have no idea. I'm always happy to have you guys along. So, but if y'all on Twitch could hang around so y'all could ride the raid, that'd be amazing. So tomorrow, we are returning to Blighttown and Dark Souls, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock. And then, then Friday, we will be having a stream. I do not know what we're doing yet. I do not know. But we'll be doing something. Possibly could be playing some Play Games with Lilith. Not sure. Don't know. Have to talk to her about it. Figure out a day to do that. Then on Saturday, we will be over on Twitch. We'll be doing some marbles and stuff. And Sunday, we'll be doing some more Cult of the Lamb. Friday, also. There will be a new video on Friday. And if you came in late to the YouTube stream, don't worry. I'll be segmenting it later today for uploads throughout the week, so don't worry. If you missed anything, it will be there. You will have it, I promise you. It just might take me a little bit to get it all separated. Is there anything else? Don't think so. I don't think I have anything else scheduled until... yeah, that's 2 weeks from now, so yeah. Alright. Let's see, who can we raid?